dangerous to like as a baby.
It's extremely dangerous.
Yeah. Like you're messing up with the growth of the baby.
Yeah.
I could never imagine
So it's only a bully form, so it's just
bleaching my skin. I love my skin. I love the way it shines in the sun. I love just the radiance of it. I could never imagine trying to like bleach my skin. But my mom does like the hydrochloroquine and no,
No,
hydrochloroquine,
do you
which
know?
is like
I think you mean hydroquinone. No, that's like the OC
Yeah.
bleacher. Yeah.
that one. And then they also use like glycolic acid to try to resurface, and all these other
They use
bleaching
the
agents.
glutathione is another one that people
Oh
that
yeah, glutathione. You can get glutathione done intravenously, which is insane. Like you can go to like a vitamin clinic
Yeah, they call
and
it
they'll
steroid
give you
drip.
an infusion.
You know, the dark thing about glutathione is actually very good for you in general.
I mean it's an antioxidant, it's good for us, but like when they push it, they're trying to push it in heavy amounts, and that's what gives it its like skin lightening effect. If you push it in like heavy amounts, like more than you would normally need. It's
Yeah.
insane.
I think my whole point is that like the truth is that more people bleach their skin because their life opportunities are tied to their skin color than because they genuinely do not like their skin color or because they think that like white people are superior.
There's a culture too, sugar belly. Like my sister, she lives in Philly. She grew up in Philly, but she has Liberian, upbringing too in the house, and her mother was is Liberian, and the community around is a lot of Liberians, right? She began bleaching her skin at one point. It's probably like what, like maybe like 10 years ago now, and she it wasn't tied to opportunities and stuff like that. Like they, the people in Philly not gonna look at her different when she goes to get a job.
But she's a Liberian, right?
Like in Nigeria.
But she's a Liberian.
You're enough.
It's actually a Liberian.
Liberia.
Yeah, she's a Liberian, right?
Yeah.
Liberia, the country.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, but like in Liberia, the reason why they have a light skin complex is because when Black Americans move to Liberia, no, that's not what I do. So like, let me finish. When Black Americans moved to Liberia, they promptly enslaved the native population.
No, I know that history of America.
Yeah, but look at the book that they don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
okay, before you get into that, let me just ask you, her being separate from the actual country of Liberia, right? What would you say anyone's reason for skin bleaching at that point? Because you would just attribute it, and I agree with you.
Just because you go somewhere doesn't mean you're kind of separate from like all your childhood influences. It's just like
It comes down to everything I said. It's down to conditioning.
Okay, I understand. You go back to the Black Americans.
No. I'm naturally just going to say what happened in Liberia. The reason why Liberia have two complex. Like, do you understand? The reason why Liberians specifically have a complex with their skin color, and the reason why they do is because Black Americans moved to Liberia, enslaved the native Liberians, and implemented very strict segregation according to skin color, right? And then not only did they do that, but then they very deliberately only wanted to breed or intermarry with light-skinned people. And then they hoarded all the opportunities and economic resources in the country for only that set of light-skinned people, mixed race Black American descendants. Meanwhile, the native Liberians, like the actual average people, are dark-skinned, regular-looking West African.
I watched a documentary on the people of Liberia, and didn't they have like some dictator named Butt Naked?
General Butt Naked.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Exactly.
Stop. You guys know what he said? You know what he said just now?
I said,
No, this is
What?
what he just said right now.
what did I just say?
He
The
said,
heart of Africa.
I'm going to say it word for word. He said, I know where Chad is. Chad had one of the biggest empires in Africa. Mansa Musa.
Oh no. Oh
She's so mad. Why are you so mad?
no. Oh no. Who's leaving that part?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Oh my God. Like, what is going on?
This nigga's on no.
Wait, hold on.
It's like a pop quiz. Yes,
Hold on. It's Marty.
He forgot. He forgot.
Wait, what did you say now?
Wait. So I said it off the top of my head because I have a reason for saying that. No,
There's
it's just
no
no
reason.
reason. Hold on, let me stop.
The reason you have for saying that is liabilities. That's what is going on. Because I don't know how you go to carry Mansa Musa all the way from Ghana to Ghana.
Wait,
But it don't matter because like
modern day Chad.
no.
I'm reading this over to you.
Okay, but excuse me, sir, right?
No, Chad is east.
If an like
Chad is really West Central.
if an empire just
No, Chad is in Central Africa. I went to a school called Chad School. I know everything.
Somali Empire, we can pass on modern day Chad.
I was never part of no Mali Empire, bro.
Excuse me, Luke, let me just tell you what the cheat code is, okay?
Territory, the Empire's territory was extended.
Luke,
Let me speak now. I'm gonna give you the floor, please. Man, so the territory of the Empire's territory was extensive across the modern day Mali, Senegal, Gambia, Guinea, Burkina Faso, the place he was talking about, and Chad. While his empire included Chad, Mansa Musa's personal origins are from Mali Empire, which is located in West Africa. Okay.
Okay, so
Okay. So Chad was at one point in history. Chad was part.
no, it was never the code, please.
I said
My,
for a reason.
listen, my darling, the cheat code to knowing where countries in Africa are is to cluster them, okay? For example, Djibouti, Eritrea, Ethiopia,
I got them right. You don't have to
right?
quote them to me. I got them right.
No, I'm not calling, just like, I do have ADHD.
I do. Yes.
Yeah,
That's why I'm a multi-millionaire.
I can tell. So my point is like you cluster them. So we know that the ones I just listed, those are like the foreign countries, right? You just have to know where one particular country is and then cluster its neighbors. And that's how you can, never lose your way.
Okay, Ak is changing what I've said. I don't know if you're doing it intentionally, Ak.
No, I'm just saying that the Mali Empire never stressed the
I'll
Chad.
concede. I'm not an expert. Yeah. So
No, I'm not trying to change what you said. All I heard you say was that Mali included Chad.
It was never like, and it also never included Nigeria.
But it's all right. Mansa Musa never. He didn't come from Chad, bro.
I never said it. Okay. I think
Okay. You said that he ruled an empire, right? You said Chad was part of one of the greatest empires.
Listen. Let me say this. I know a lot of people from Chad, and whenever Chad is included in the conversation, a lot of pride about Mansa Musa because he did play a significant role in
Because of the region, bro.
Okay. He played a huge regional role and also a cultural role in
Excuse me, Chad is nowhere close to Mali. What's going on here?
I mean, modern day Mali. We're talking about the Mali Empire should have been, right?
You say this to somebody from Chad, okay? Say that to somebody from Chad.
What? Tell them what? Mansa Musa never ruled them?
You say that to somebody from Chad and let's see what they say.
Okay, you get the thing.
Can I just say this thing? And I'm not trying to be mean or nasty or classist, but it is a fact. The vast majority of Africa.
Alright, I'm not here even this. You know what it is? We're all black. I don't care.
Luke, I was speaking.
I don't care.
Luke, I was speaking. Luke, I was speaking.
Let me fall back on the black.
Luke, I was speaking.
I don't care.
Luke, I was speaking.
I want to summon Huey.
I was speaking, Luke. Are you like, what's going on?
Like a poster guide, you need a Ouija board.
Like, stop that. So I'm sorry to definitely not as well educated as three particular countries. So like they say a lot of nonsense that isn't actually true, and it's actually like fascinating to just like watch.
Okay, I don't agree. I don't agree with that. But I don't agree. I don't.
Okay, so
But what are the three countries?
Nigeria, South Africa, and I think the last one is Ghana.
Okay, so the top five world countries.
That's I didn't say wealth. I didn't say wealthy. I never did. I mentioned wealth.
Sugar Belly. If you look at a country like Kenya, like even Zimbabwe, like they have their literacy rates are like through the roof. Their educational attainment is actually quite high too. But I would say on the global stage, that yeah, you are right. I think because of their economic stability, those two countries like that right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So and the reason why I'm saying this thing is because like it's it's kind of crazy when you consider like how much poorer the other countries are. Your mic is gone, Luke.
Your cranberry, oh God, don't give it. You should come back with sort of. You just say what up?
I'm really sorry, but like you need to stop speaking Yoruba.
You see that? You're saying
I'm saying that your pronunciation is atrocious. So.
Okay, but when I go to different European countries.
Cranberry, come on, simple.
For example, yeah.
There's way too many Nigerians in here.
Shuven, are you Christian?
No.
Okay. Okay, so for example,
Many Nigerians.
Sorry, I started talking to people. I can't hear what you're saying.
let me make one point and then I'll let you go.
There's like lots of people talking.
Let me make one point and then I'm gonna mute. So that's my voice right here. Can we agree that?
What has the Bible got to do with this conversation?
Like I said, let me make the point.
So origin in Ethiopia actually that's what people I don't know and it's about after my research about that I'm not so sure from the way this conversation that's I think the oldest preserved Bible.
Okay, thank you for that.
I don't know the oldest Bible is Ethiopia for sure.
Okay, so alright. I'm not intellectual, I'm not the guy that is okay. I'm just saying. No, I'm not. Alright, so the oldest Bible is Ethiopian, but then after that the common language of his empire was the Byzantine Empire, and that language was Greek, and the Bible was written in Greek. Can we agree? Now let me continue with what I'm trying to say. So Jesus Christ in the marketplace he spoke Greek. I lived in Greece for 2 years. Nobody ever complained about the way I was pronouncing words. It's only an African person that's gonna complain about how you pronounce it.
Okay.
You're pronouncing what word?
Wait, I'm the one.
Actually engage me not actually like sorry, like what pronouncing what specifically?
I'm the one
When I was speaking to cranberry,
Relax, I ain't going cranberry. I heard you say cranberry. I'm just going by what I heard. So please.
Yeah, that was the person who criticized the pronunciation.
Come on, I beg.
I'm trying to explain.
Okay, so when I was speaking to cranberry, I said something to her about him. Maybe not the best accent, but my point is that if I go to Spain, if I go to Italy, if I go to Greece, like I said, I made the example of Jesus Christ spoke marketplace Greek. It was not taken fluently. Nobody makes fun of the way of me speaking their language and the way I speak it. But I'm actually Nigerian, like blood, 100% Nigerian. And then another Nigerian that tries to make fun. And that's not what she said. Yeah, exactly. Good. What's the point? This is the thing. So after all of that said and done, you come and you say that, oh yeah, I'm not trying to sow division. I'm not trying to do no. You said something. You made a disclaimer before you said a point. But what you're doing is exactly that. That's what you're doing. Oh, you were saying in this accent. You're saying this on the Africans. You're trying to do the tribalism, classes thing. That's it. I'm not trying to be class.
Let me respond to you. Originally, hold on, my God, goodness. Luke, I don't know what exactly just called me in. Luke called me in. Even if if your pronunciation of the Yoruba language is not great, at least you're attempting. I'm not gonna shame you for that. Like you know some words, you understand some stuff. So I'm not gonna shame you, bro. You're Nigerian. That's it. Someone if you go to another country, I speak German, I speak French. My German is not the most cleanest German. I can work very easily. I don't know if that's the conversation. Well, that's our opinion, but don't why you fight like that? I'm just saying that like if you're gonna pronounce particular words, I'm not cheating you for it, or you at least you make an attempt. So I give you props for that. Just learn more. Much like most of Nigerian movies, try and practice and you'll be fine. That's it.
Me either one.
I just want to make an observation to get out the way.
Yeah, sure.
Right. You said what you said to him. Now, Luke, did you think that your accent in Yoruba was good before Sugar Belly made the comment? No. Okay, let's not. Are you practicing? Are you trying to learn?
So the way I practice usually when I live my life, as I've made some examples of, I've lived in countries.
Wait, how about sorry, excuse me, because like you were saying all this stuff about me, and I'm just like I don't want to get into like another whatever.
I'm Sugar Belly. I'm literally just gonna.
So my observation is this: Sugar Belly made a comment about, and if it's true or not, right? She made a comment about how she feels about how he sounded, right? It's an observation. I don't think that we gotta fucking hone in on it as much as we are.
No. It's not
Right. I feel like you felt offended, and I don't think you should be offended. That's all.
offended.
Okay. So as the person, wait, how about as the person who
Let me
made the
respond.
comment.
I'm gonna give you the mic. I swear to you.
Yeah, I won't respond.
I'm 100% not offended. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to make the distinguishing factor between the point that was that she brought up before about I'm not trying to be mean, class or so and so, but then you did an exactly same attitude towards you proceeded to be mean, class. I said I was wrong before, but then you proceeded to do that. After that, you then went and started talking about don't talk Nigeria, don't talk Nigeria no more, blah blah blah. Now I'm done.
Okay, so as the person made the comments, like I actually think that you're turning a hill into a mountain. But I also feel like the attitude of like, oh, why do I have to get the accent right, or why do I have to get the pronunciation right? Besides, like, by the way,
I never said why. I never said why once.
I said the attitude of like, can you not do the same? Like, try to comprehend the entire sentence, please. The attitude of like, oh, Jesus was speaking Greek. Oh, when I go to Greece, nobody criticizes my Greek or blah blah blah, that kind of thing. Can I finish, please? Like, I think that that's a very Nigerian attitude. So if you think that I'm trying to snatch your Nigerian card, don't worry, you're not in any danger because that attitude of like, oh, this thing is mediocre, but it's perfectly fine, is a very Nigerian attitude.
No, it's not. Nigerians are the most perfectionist, top
Can I
level
finish,
cyber criminals.
please? Like, I actually live there, so this is not like your Jingle Bells fantasy of Nigeria. Um, if you're going to speak a language or like learn something or learn a skill, it is worth it for its own reward to actually aim to get right. So I've never understood this business of like, oh, it's like half baked, but like it's okay. And I don't like why people act offended about that. Like, we learn to speak English, and when we're in school, the amount of teaching to get us to learn English is to get us to master English, right? Nobody ever tells, oh, why can't we just speak broken English? And after all, people can kind of understand us. It's okay like that. So I just don't understand like why people don't want to have a level of like mental standards for African languages. I don't get it. Secondly, you were saying that you were saying, hang on, you were saying that like, oh, it doesn't matter or whatever. Why are you interrupting?
I'm speaking Greek, so let me hear you.
Okay, but why? So again, I'm sorry, but like.
You want to speak Spanish with me as well?
Excuse me. So this is nonsensical. Like what you're doing, Luke, is completely nonsensical. I didn't put any
It's not nonsensical. Pull Google Translate open up my phone and I'll speak. Pull my voice and I'll speak. It's gonna make a full sentence.
Look. Okay, so you know what? I wasn't going to say this before, but I actually have to say it. And I'm not saying it based purely language like comments. I'm saying it based off this and the chat thing, answer processing and all of that stuff. Look, you have a chip on your shoulder. For some reason, you're not able to accept when you're like wrong about something, or you feel like I don't know if it's like you feel like when you really want to do
my bank balance, my portfolio,
you
have
think
no chip on my shoulder.
you're proving the chip on your shoulder. Proving it. You're proving you have a chip on your shoulder.
That's the ghetto.
You want to post your bank balance. You want to post your bank balance because I said that like you mispronounced the word.
I have a chip on my shoulder.
You have a chip on your shoulder.
That's the gaslighting to your belly.
No, let me finish, please. Excuse me, Luke. Luke, all I said was that you mispronounced a word, right? And you want to post your bank balance and show me all your millions. You're proving you have a chip on your shoulder. You're insecure. You're proving it.
This is the easiest thing that females go through that have no love for argument. They say that you're insecure about anything that a man tries to do. Your man's playing it insecure.
Why do I need to see your bank account? Because you mispronounced the word.
They don't actually say that girl.
Why do I need to see your bank account? Because I said you mispronounced the word. Like, what's the connection? What's the connection? What is the connection to your bank account that mispronounced the word?
That wasn't the connection, bro. That wasn't the connection.
Mira. So let me tell you this: the biggest chip on my shoulder I had in my life when I grew up in debt and poverty, sharing debt.
What has this got to do with you mispronouncing a word?
Listen, the biggest chip
I'm from
on my shoulder I had in my
South
life was poverty. My biggest chip on my shoulder was being poor.
I can tell. I can really tell.
So now, when you say I'm a chip on my shoulder, when I say I've overcame that, I'm saying, okay, let me show you the proof of me overcoming that. Anything that you're saying is intellectual. I say, hey, I'm not an intellectual.
I can absolutely
I never went to
tell.
university. I'm not a professor of Yoruba. I know the tonal language. I cannot speak it well. So
Up you. That's exactly why I said you have a chip on your shoulder. I have to be poor. I can tell. It's written all over you.
Only tonight. Only you.
okay.
This is crazy, right? Because honestly, yes, you pronounce the word. Yes,
Only you be talking
shut the
from
fuck
morning
up.
to night.
When
Only
other
you be
people are
talking.
talking, you didn't hear them talking. Shut the fuck up. Shut up.
Please
You
give
don't want
us
to hear
peace
me talk. Leave the fucking room.
Jared,
You
give us peace,
leave the
Jared,
fucking room.
please.
No, leave the room. Shut the fuck up.
Jackie.
I was talking to Zaman. I was talking to Luke. So as I was saying, Luke, like this, you blew this completely out of proportion, right? Yeah, did you mispronounce the word? Yeah, sure, no problem. Yes, I said you mispronounced the word.
Only
But
you be
it's
talking
odd
from
how
morning
you
to night.
it's odd how you've gone from you mispronouncing the word to telling me all your life story, how you how you're gonna show me your bank account.
Mispronouncing the word.
Like what's that got to do with
You're
anything?
saying I'm insecure.
But you are insecure.
Alright, I'm insecure. Yeah, right. Okay, well.
As much as I would like to
Alright, let's
do
get on
that,
enough. What I'm talking about. You know,
We talk about how the Republican Party is homosexual,
everybody, I want everybody to observe this. I did not personally attack her. I never said one thing about her. The personally attacked her.
well, that's good. Let's talk about the least of the middle kids that like have a little shit on that. Let's talk about that.
There's a back channel for a reason.
I mean, you really need to think about like how you blew this thing out of proportion.
I don't care, man.
We're talking about the Republican kids, so the young Republican shit.
What is it? What is it about?
I think that I don't know, maybe the Americans can explain shit, but there was like a group of young
It was a young Republican group, like I guess to say a Republican advocacy group called the Young Republicans, and they were pretty much the people in the group chat that were saying a bunch of crazy shit about raping women, gas chambers, all types of just racist, crazy, like bedroom type shit.
PTRB. There's a text about gas chambers, about black
What they talking about?
Crazy shit. But every time I gets on stage, he's questioned about it. Everyone, he basically says everyone who's like complaining about it is like pearl clutching, and it's just a bunch of kids saying like edgy jokes, pretty much. And they're not kids; they're all adults, for the record.
Talk. Only you talking. Shut the fuck up.
having to speak my
Hearing your voice really tonight, I'm trying to talk about that voice.
What are you doing? Sugar Belly is not being
Shut the
centered.
fuck up, Pornica.
You actually need to listen to her all the time. And you cannot. What do you think you are doing?
Shut the
What do you think you are doing?
Shut up, Pornica. You don't want to fucking dick.
controlling the conversation.
Only you talking. We're trying to hear your voice, Louis. Be quiet. We are tired of hearing your fucking voice. We're tired of hearing about that voice, Louis. We're tired of hearing about that voice. We're tired of hearing your voice. Shut the fuck up, Louis. Shut the fuck up.
I'm not talking about me. That's something that I like.
Shut the fuck up.
I just realized that Sugar Belly is the Nigerian. Sugar Belly is the Nigerian Antifa. All by herself, she's Antifa. Nigerian edition. Thank you. No, thank you, ma'am. I'll leave that up to you.
Like for the LGBTQ, why would you deny that offer?
Okay, what cranberry are those cases real?
Shit posting between her and the petition girl. They didn't threaten anybody. It's just ridiculous. You're gonna tell me the direct quote and I have to interpret it for you?
No, shit posting means that they put it.
They were shit posting. It was mean.
It's a conversation.
Stop
It's a
it.
conversation between people that you can trust. Shit posting means putting something here. It's, just a throwaway line. Just a simple conversation talking about Nazis and death.
Fellow captain was offended.
Yeah, it is weird, bro.
It's not like just trying to put people together.
I don't think nothing wrong with that. Not the market is chambers. Nah, you can't fucking. To me, I feel like that people joke.
The bigger story is J.D. Vance defending bullshit.
What did he say?
He pretty much said he's saying that anyone's upset about this.
It's kids.
There's been bipartisan pushback too. But he's saying anyone who's upset is pretty much pro-clutching, fucking snowflake Libby's type shit.
Pro-clutch.
Pro-clutch is just like
You need to
type shit.
Does it offend me? Does it offend me? No, after I shut this off.
No, it's not about it doesn't offend you, Mike. Do you think that's something the vice president should get on stage, on a platform, on a podium and defend in any capacity?
What platform was it? Were these messages sent? Okay, so not that actually worse actually,
and people have
because I didn't know about this happening, but now let's get to how did it leak? Was it meant to be hand-to-hand? Why are they just saying this random shit, Beaner and Spick?
They're not just saying it. It's had 28,000 posts over how many years, and then the news organization, it got leaked, and they combed through 28,000 messages to find the 20 worst egregious ones. It's comical.
Why are you ever saying beaters and specs in a professional setting?
Yeah, but
These are not friends. These are colleagues.
Can we get to the bigger issue? What's the bigger issue is what? Yeah, okay. The
young Republicans say.
Wait, I don't care what the girl says. The bigger what the girl is saying. Bring that side out. What does that mean? Give it a little bit.
Can you bring the bullshit up? I'm ready to go.
I'm ready to watch people burn. Oh, that's pretty bad.
America.
Yeah, these people, they don't like Jewish people.
that's responsible.
Yeah, we'll make crap.
Okay. You don't think that they
Michael Cranberry real quick.
Especially young boys, they tell edgy, offensive jokes. Like, that's what kids do. And I really don't want us to grow up in a country where a kid telling a stupid joke, telling a very offensive, stupid joke, is cause to ruin their lives.
That's what kids do. Vice President J.D. Vance earlier today commenting again on a political story involving members of young Republican organizations and thousands of leaked messages where they're seen exchanging hate, racist, and homophobic texts. The vice president choosing there not to condemn the messages, instead dismissing it as, quote, what kids do, and that, quote, kids do stupid things, especially young boys. The organization in question is for Republicans between the ages of 18 and 40. Kids. Anyway, according to Politico, the Telegram group chats involve Republican operatives, and in at least one case, an elected official. Inside those messages, one referred to Black people as monkeys, and quote, one talked about sending political another called rape, quote, epic. Prominent Republicans like Congresswoman Elise Stefanik were quick to condemn the messages. The young Republicans have denounced the text as vile and inexcusable. Politico reports that at least one person lost their job, while another had a job offer rescinded. At least two of the people involved have apologized. My panel is back in the text chain, is also with us. Tulu, I want to sort of start with you on the big picture. You spent a lot of time thinking and worrying about how race and politics intersect here, and the coarsening of the discourse that is seen on display in these texts is really, well, how do you interpret reality that these groups, these groups of people felt like this was an appropriate thing to do?
Well, it's shocking to see this in public. You have to imagine that this does happen from time to time.
The person speaking is Tolu. He's a staff writer for The Atlantic.
I don't think we need your name to speak.
When people say something, let me know. I'm not gonna stop it here, but I'm saying.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, I don't like things that I want to say. The first thing is, 40 is not young. And the second thing is, I do think people are blowing this out of proportion. Right? Now, there's one thing.
Here comes Eric with the edgy tape.
Hold on. This is my opinion. There's one thing in there that I do believe is kind of weird and should never be joked about, and that's rape. Now, everything else about like watermelon people, like you being monkeys, beaners, gas chambers, and spics, bro, that's nothing. You should hear what people say. Even in this fucking room, you guys make fucking Jewish jokes, homophobic jokes, transphobic jokes. Like, imagine if I posted that online or record that, y'all would get the same treatment.
I was told that my dad raped me as a child in this room. You guys are telling me.
So what I'm saying is, right, this is just like a normal occurrence, like between groups of people, close groups of people. Like to say that, people never in their lives make edgy jokes is fucking outrageous. Now I do say that the rape thing is like kind of weird, and they should be like ostracized for that. But like the fucking gas chambers and watermelon people, bro, that's funny, bro.
Watermelon people is objectively funny.
This is a professional setting trying to get people to vote for their
It
candidate.
wasn't
It's just
professional.
dumb
It
to
was,
do.
it was not a professional group chat.
It's an organization.
No, they were part of the organization. That wasn't an official fucking organization.
Wait. Were they texting? Hold on. Were these personal text messages, or was the platform that they were messaging on a professional setting?
It was personal group chat.
Did anyone in the group chat not work
It
with
would
them?
be like if Chili all got caught saying crazy shit.
Okay, so let's say, for example, whoever was just you could run for office, whoever was just speaking,
Discord, no one did tell us the truth.
whoever was just speaking and whoever was just speaking just now, actually, instead of anything could, okay, if everybody says a message, they say something racist, they say something to the government.
Person.
He's always buttoned up, but he does that
Does everybody think it's okay?
Right, because he's being professional. He made this professional setting.
Michael was trying to paint the picture that they work for like Microsoft or something. They
So does that make okay?
Microsoft.
They
work for a company party.
Yeah, that's not the same. I can work at the White House, right? And I can have a personal group chat outside of my work, and I can say all types of things. That doesn't like.
That's true, Eric. Look, I agree with what Eric's saying, but it's just when this is exposed, it's hard.
It's just not smart.
You
can't unsee it. Like, so when these guys, they want to, like, if these guys were to go speak or represent something or try to say anything somewhat fucking in reference to morality or anything like that, like, how do you take them that seriously?
I mean, morality is exactly.
I agree it is. I don't even fucking understand what they really do, but like, I just know one thing, they didn't want this to get fucking released, you know what I mean? They didn't want it to get released, and so like, and so it's just ignoring it, it's just another thing. So the idea of like, let's see this and let's take some of the stuff on there, it's like, after that, I just don't see them as the same, like, even if they say it's a joke, it's kind of like, I know what kind of content floats in your mind now, and it's like, okay.
Exactly.
Right, it undermines whatever they say.
It does have that effect. Now, in the sense of it should have ruined their life, I mean, fucking. That's gonna be up to, you know what? How about this? That's not up to anybody but the people that they subscribe to, or they try to get a job with, whatever. Because everybody has a right to respond to what they say.
Let me ask you something.
That's their fault.
If someone was making pedo jokes in those back channels, would you feel like they should expose?
I feel like if it's on there,
I'm not saying there's any kitty porn or anything. They're just making jokes about
Aaron already put the disclaimer, like, he set the boundary, rape, I don't fuck with, but everything else is whatever, so like, I would like to,
Are you
I would have no shit in that.
Are you
The individuals who are willing to make jokes and be crassy about raping women. Do you think these are people that won't be protected?
a few weeks ago,
Say what you want to say. Wait, Eric. Say what you want to say about this space. Really quick.
joking about dropping us for a few weeks.
Shut up!
Everybody in this room was dropping us.
Take a breather, man.
Does that mean it's okay for everybody that did it?
Say what you want to say about this room, Eric, and the type of shit we joke about. We don't use rape flippantly. We don't fuck with that shit, right? People get called out if anything like that is mentioned. Let's call it out. So like the type of group that's comfortable with that, type of rhetoric or even jokes that kind of fly around. I don't think that's good defense.
I said that. I think that they should be ostracized for talking about rape, but everything else, bro, like when somebody brings up, they should be punished for horrible, and they use like fucking because they said gas chambers or watermelon people. Get the fuck out of here, bro. But they care about that.
You know what's funny about this thing is like I see this room. I feel like most people in this room have said some outrageous things, and I'm like, I know deep down you guys can't speak like this in real life, and then you're like you're in your office, but I've said more than I will speak in this room. Like I've heard the N-word, I've heard like rape, I've heard kill, I've heard slut, I've heard disease.
Never heard of rape,
Let me finish. I don't cut you off, but that's like about it. I listen more than I speak in this room, to be very transparent. So, I don't say this group chat, people make fucked up jokes. People are making fucked up jokes right now. But when you're in a particular setting and you mention these jokes and you have the potential to be so power one day and you keep having this mindset, people are going to question your morality as to how you actually see things personally, because some of the jokes you may not see as a problem, but other organizations that people want to partner with may see you as not someone who want to fuck with, actually represent them. So, yeah, you have that freedom of speech. You guys see and read these things all the time, no problem. But you can't blame the society and coming for reacting what they do when they don't want to be affiliated with that kind of thought process from the get-go. They don't want that. Not saying that people cannot also be hypocrites, but at the same time, people just don't want that around them. They don't want that kind of mentality. They don't want someone that is saying, oh, like these niggers are doing this kind of thing, and he's responsible for collaborating with the black community. It just doesn't compare. It doesn't make sense. You lack my point here. It's like it gets kind of very fucked up when, for example, someone makes a joke about like I don't know, someone said about kids, right? And the person's like a principal in the school. Like, bro, that's kind of fucked up too. I guess that's a very weird comparison. But in summation, when it's kind of leaked out, people are going to question you, and you cannot judge them for questioning your merit and your stuff and saying what kind of leadership or roles you should be holding like in society. Like very, very sensitive decision making things as well. That's kind of thought process in the back end. Sorry, they wanna, you can't blame them. So I know most people here don't want to get what they've said here on Chisholm because most of you don't have your pictures of it doesn't you guys need that here, but I'll let them know I just was very
And you know what? I'll say one last thing. If anything, this is a plus because this is a torpedo to his presidential campaign next year. But just imagine the clips of him fucking exchanging this bullshit. So, if anything good, it's good. It lays rigid relaying the political.
I never thought he was going to be president.
Me neither. But still, this is just more ammo against him. Let him dig his hole. He's done this a couple times before, like needlessly defended bullshit, and I'm just like, why, dog? That's your race to consent.
If I was in that group chat, I would have doubled down, bro. I'd be like, if I said it, then what? I'll say it again.
That's fine.
I mean, unfortunately,
It's gonna ruin your credibility.
I don't know if it will.
If you double down on the rape talk,
You're ruining no matter what, though.
The rape stuff is the only thing, but isn't that crazy? It's not crazy. It's not crazy you can make the the boss racial jokes, and like only the rape stuff is what's like people like so.
Was it you? Was it the Bible?
No, I think a lot of people are being hypocrites. But
where's that
I think collectively, the majority of society, like 99% of society, think that joking about raping women is like kind of off limits. But everything else is
Always
even if you double down on them on the beater jokes, it's just strategically not smart.
because you think of them racist and you still have a career goal to have
Everybody in this room.
Yeah, but it's right now, you turn it off.
You have to leave room for a certain amount of plausible deniability.
But if Eric was like, you know what, yeah, I did say it. I was fucking around and blah, blah, it was a joke.
Right.
And so what? You know what's funny is that, like, that seems to be more effective in the sense of, like, dealing with less repercussions. And, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't, like, when you start apologizing and whatever, it's kind of like,
that's when you lose.
an apology and then saying it's if it's like, hey, I'm sorry, it was a joke. It was like, hey, I'm sorry, it was a joke. Because you know what? Most everybody that's reading it, having an opinion, has probably said something in a humorous way that is like something that's either prejudiced or like racial or something, right?
I mean,
So
like,
wait.
we'll see
So if you're like, if it's like, you know what? I'm just fucking around.
if Christian makes jokes about gas chambers, they usually don't get on.
That's a weird thing.
Take that.
That's a weird thing. I'll go off the mic. It's fine. Look, I tend to believe that people's sense of humor says something about them. But like some people are just naturally like that. They see the world the way they do and they express it that way. And if you come out and you're just saying, look, I was in a private conversation, I was fucking around, it was just a joke, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's like, fucking whatever. It wasn't meant to offend anybody. It was just me fucking around, whatever. I think that people are still going to see you in that way, but it's kind of like, it's hard to really like, I don't know, you can't, anybody that wants to fucking throw a stone at you resume, and I don't really know if anyone really does.
Well, Mike, I'm sorry, can I go? was like fired for saying the N for saying nigga, and her boss is also a black person. She was on what's the guy?
Is it Canadian? Is she Canadian?
I think so. I can't remember.
Like a late night, like Indian.
No. She's American. She's like like already looking. Her name is Lady Gaga. She said the N word. She had this kind of traditional housewife outfit. Gaga. No, not Gaga. Lady Gaddis. Lady Gaddis.
I don't know.
And she went on the social media platform and she was like making eggs or some kind of weird spice. And she was like, doesn't know how why black girls or people are pregnant. Yeah, like some of her friends are dating broke ass niggas.
Yeah, I remember that. Can I ask Eric a question real quick?
Like, hold on. So like the internet got about it. They were like, oh, then they found that she works for a lady that runs a big black organization. Or her boss is black. They found out, they fired her. But what's that guy on YouTube? Pierce Morgan. Pierce Morgan. Pierce Morgan. He invited her over and said, "Are you a racist?" They're like, "Nah, I'm using the N-word." No. Are you a racist? Okay, I'm a racist. She like said, "So I'm no words." I'm like, "Oh shit, why are you explaining?" She said it, but she got fired. But she got popularity. Probably most people don't right on time.
Did she say she was kidding when she said she was racist?
She said it.
He said it. Yeah, actually, come to think about it, that lady at the park, remember that top that kid?
Yeah, but we can see the thing is you could do an analysis where in the moment, like let's say month one of incident, you get this spike in popularity. What about like the next 5 years? What happened then? That's the best way to analyze if this type of approach has like long-lasting sustainability in terms of like your popularity and your place in society. Now, to Eric, do you like playing life on maximum difficulty, or do you like changing the difficulty along the way from moderate to max difficulty? I'm just curious because it seems like a pattern.
So.
Change it every day.
Turn it up, right?
I just believe in certain things and that other people don't, bro. So
let me find that. But I just feel like doubling down that is at first you're gonna get popularity, but be prepared. Like the side that supports you are gonna be a side that may even have more passion about what you said. You took it out of a joke out of context. You may find actual racist people that will say, "Hey, by the way, look what you said, sister. Coming from the brotherhood, 9:30 p.m. I don't know that Chuck E. Cheese or some shit. I don't know where you guys meet. I don't know what they mean, but like, so
Look how many people are like accepting like friends with that guy Pepe on his app. Bro, that fool says some horrible ass shit and no one gives a fuck.
who Nick Fuentes?
He gets canceled all the time. He has no, you can't keep an account. He has no platform. Every financial institution, like drops him out of the client, like he's like,
Yeah, we have like 3 or 4 different conversations going. I still don't think it was okay for Nick Fuentes to get debanked. That's some serious shit.
Go somewhere else, nigga. You fucking with. You know what you don't understand, Monica, is that a prominent member. Hold on, let me say
He
this
was
quick.
on the no-fly list. He's on the no-fly list.
You can go next.
Yeah, control yourself, white woman. Anyway, so it's easily understandable with like the stock market, being influenced by perception, public perception. If you have a company and they find or a bank or anybody, they're publicly traded, you find out that you're associated with Nick Fuentes, and them fucking fans decide to start boycotting your bitch ass, you are gonna lose money. Take care, man.
God, Monica.
shout out to mom.
I'll go after, I think Eric Braun.
I don't believe Nick Fuentes ever called for violence. I don't believe he ever organized or harmed anybody. He was mildly annoying and invasive, following Ben Shapiro on the street. Debate me, bro. Debate me. Why won't you debate me? Like, we have to make sure that we're actually treating people who act like criminals as criminals, and people who are just abrasive and obnoxious, you know, like concrete. Like he didn't break any laws. He didn't hurt any people. He shouldn't be debated for ideas.
It was incarcerated?
No, she said be banned.
He was treated like a criminal. Yeah, that's the beauty of a capitalist society.
What I wanted to say was that I'm a firm believer in you reap what you sow, right? So why I do believe people should be able to say what they want to say. When you say it, whatever happens, happens. So if people decide that they don't want to do business with you or they don't want to be friends with you, that comes with the territory, bro. Like you can't just have one foot in, one foot out, and then like you cry about it when somebody says, "Oh, I don't want to be associated with you," right? But we live in this great country where, hey, if one thing decides to get rid of them, I'm pretty sure there are 10 others that will do business with them, right? Because not all things are aligned with
capitalism. If your shit is really, I'm so sorry. Okay, thanks. Actually, I don't want to be long. So, Mike, this is what the whole Lady Gaddis situation. Just 30 seconds.
Would you use the N-word out of interest?
Yes,
You would?
I do quite frequently.
You use the N-word quite frequently. Well, why? Other than the fact you're a despicable racist. Are you?
Some would say I am. I guess according to the ADL, I'm a white supremacist, I'm a neo-Nazi.
Yeah, but they use the N-word, you are a racist, are you?
Sure, I'll embrace that. If that means supporting, helping white people achieve freedom of speech, real freedom of speech.
Okay, so that's what she said. And you actually doubled down. And if you want to say something that, like, of course, before you say, could say something that, like, it's quite egregious to, the history behind it as well, what happened, saying nigger, saying gas chambers, you know exactly in which direction that you're going to, right? And if particular people don't want to fuck with that kind of rhetoric, they're going to bounce back. And you can't burn from bouncing back, saying, you know what, now we don't want to be part of this whole situation. And you can't, if you say, oh, this person shouldn't be banned, debunked, defunded, fraud, or whatever the terminology is, and let them go find people in that particular stratosphere, as opposed to that kind of mindset, to, fund them, or basically, help them out as well. But you can't blame people for not, like, saying, you know what, I don't want to mess that, because the video that I heard about, I think Charlie Kirk's producer not wanting to not wanting to what's the term, like reject Nazi what's it propaganda or Nazi like commies or whatever, like, on a panel, right? And they asked him, yo, do you reject Nazi propaganda, whatever that? And he was like, oh yeah, we can discuss about that. He asked everyone else in the panel, do you guys also do debunk this, or everyone said yes by accepting him. So that, like, weird pushback when it's something so fucked up needs to be, like, rejected from people, mostly from the right, maybe from the left as well. I don't know, guys, I'm confusing at this point. It kind of makes me. The right is confusing you, and they're trying to make you confused. Don't. No. Well, don't let me get more confused. It kind of, like, surprises me that, like, there should just be a straightforward response. You all know that 6 million people dying is a very
not straightforward, bro.
It's only not straightforward recently. Okay, wait, Louis, let me ask you a question. Do you condemn what the Jews did, or what Hitler did to the Jews? Absolutely, unequivocally, yes. Good. Now, if you ask someone else that question and says, hey, I ain't gonna call anyone else's name yet. Do you condemn what the Jews did, Brian? You say, well, that well alone is like
because it's more nuanced instead of being black and white. But a lot of people are brainwashed into believing that it's black and white, and they're afraid of saying what they want to say. No, it's not that. But a lot of people are afraid to speak up because of what Monica mentioned. They don't have the heart or backbone to suffer the consequences of what they said. Now, somebody like me, if somebody asks me that question, I'll sure tell you. I'll tell you, no, I don't condemn it. And I will say some more things, but I don't want
So what happened with reaping what you sow?
Yeah, I said if you say it, yeah, you reap what you sow. I wouldn't cry about it, but I'm
I just find it very funny. Yeah. But
you've been brainwashed, bro.
I'm not brainwashed.
It's not brainwashing. You're just being an mentor.
All those kind of like traps or words, they don't work. I promise you, they don't work on me. I promise they don't. I've done my bread, I've learned, I've lived. I pray about
Alright,
things.
so let me ask you that if it hasn't worked, what was wrong with killing the 6 million people?
It wasn't 6 million people. It was 11 million people. Continually Jews.
How many ever was it?
Hitler was trying to have power to
Wait.
Hitler was a scumbag who was trying to eradicate Jews.
Wait, Eric, you know there were five. Wait. You know there were 5 million people subject to different demographic groups that were also targeted.
Yeah, that could be the case. That could be the case.
That is the case. Forget the Jews. If you want to, because I don't take the like anti-Semite. I don't even want to say anti-Semite, but they're like, oh, like whatever, whatever about the Jews, whatever. Remove the Jews. There are 5 million people. If you just remove the Jews, 5 million people systematically killed.
And guess what? I still hold the same stance.
Yes, I don't think that's the stance that.
I'm not gonna have that conversation.
Why is it a bad thing?
Why is it a bad thing to systematically kill the people that we think are deplorable?
Bradford, why is it wrong?
Why is it that Hitler killed
And is judge, jury, and executioner?
I'm not gonna answer that question. I'm not gonna tell you, but Hitler was a
You
scumbag.
don't want to answer that. Program with the Jews with the ADF. You're so afraid to answer that question when I'm actually telling you to know those people.
Okay, you know, that's a very exhaustive, right? But I actually don't know how guys do it. But Hitler hated Jews. You had people under him that were saying that they wanted Germany to be the ultimate power of Germany at that point. People were like, what the fuck is this guy? I'm just using common sense. I'm going to go towards the whole history. Gas chambers, killed people, kidnapped people, embezzled people. That kind of act, if everyone else around him saying, what this dude is doing is terrible, I should be stopped. And many people also share that same rhetoric. People are not
But many people
Hold on. I'm not going to bring this long hold on. I condemn anyone being killed, number one. And I thank you for the part that because somebody is saying that the fact that I condemn the Jews being killed, I condemn Christians and Nigerians being killed currently, I condemn people being killed in Gaza. So there's all these things. If people have this kind of mentality of like someone is doing something very terrible and he was the cause of the death of millions of people, I'm immediately going to condemn that. You're going to ask me a very common, oh, why do you think it's now? Why do that, bro? Bro, it's common sense.
It's not common sense.
It's terrible because at the end of the day, I'm not going to talk about this for 6 hours with you. I don't do that yet.
Yeah, because you know you're wrong. You've been brainwashed. Because the only thing you've said so far is that other people have seen it like this, right? So since other people have seen it like this, I have to see it like this. And you've convinced yourself that every time now you've convinced yourself every time you have this conversation that it's common sense and everybody should have the same status quo answer. But you use this reality, bro. The victors write history, right? Not the people who are defeated. Right? And there's going to come a time, right, where your quote unquote status quo or common sense is not going to be the common sense anymore.
it up now. There's some in there. There's wait. Let comes with the brand. Well, I'm still researching.
I don't know what the fuck he said.
Alright, cool. Listen, with the intellectual thing and all of that stuff, make sure you're not gonna be disrespectful to me. Alright? Make sure. But if you are gonna Google and research it, I haven't done it. I'm doing it spontaneously. I don't have a laptop in front of me.
Anybody else notice he tried to point blank and say how many languages did you speak? Yeah,
The reason why I'm saying that is because it will.
Alright, I got it. It is actually, here, I got it. The word AI overview, the word history, comes from the ancient Greek word historia, meaning inquiry, knowledge acquired by investigation or account of one's inquiries. So I just take it an account of one's inquiries could be his story.
I think we'll agree is that if he have the hate,
he said that Adam was his story. Right, so they named
his story.
No, he didn't, Derek. He said the epistemology of the word.
He meant etymology.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, but you're still wrong, bro. Because he said this was story.
No, epistemology. I said before, I made my point.
You're wrong, bro. No matter the way you slice it, you're wrong.
I'm not trying to spice it to be right. I concrete just how he said it.
You didn't. He stressed the fucking AI prompt, the response to try to give you a win, bro.
How can you have stress here looking like this?
Because your claim was that the reason why history is spelled that way, right, is because it came from his story, right?
Yeah.
And they just combined the two words. And that's we obviously see that's not true because
Wait, is that what he really meant?
No.
Yeah, he tried to say
Oh my
like.
god, I didn't get that.
No,
Yeah.
wait.
That word is his story.
This is the last thing.
He's right. I'm gonna wait till the excitement died down.
No, he's just researching.
No, I already said it. Go ahead.
Let me say my thing and then I'm gonna be up. I'm not gonna. I'm high as fuck, so that's why I'm talking a lot more nowadays, right now. Alright, cool. So I came in on the end of somebody saying that history is written by the victors, right? So that being said, if it's written by the victors, I said in ancient times it's his. So historia in Greek, when you say historia, it means man. Just that's an ancient Greek to modern day Greek has not been dissected, and there's not been a correct correlation between the two. By the way, that's a fact. So if you grow up in Greece and you go to school there and you learn ancient Greek, people don't know exactly what it meant. It's different characters and there's a different way of phrasing everything that doesn't quite make sense. It's just in a record. But let me just put that aside for a moment. Historia means I'm going to stick by this claim. It means his story. His story. I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think there's coincidences. Alright, then I'm wrong.
I put it into AI because I don't want you guys to like fucking his claim was, his claim was that the reason his story that I'm like, obviously no, that's not true.
It's an animal spell.
So yes, he did. No, it's bro. Come on, now we're gonna guess, bro.
Hold on. His story goes back to inquiry.
Get out of here, bro.
Story, right?
Concrete, don't tell me you're gonna do this, bro.
No, I'm saying
You're blocking the argument now. But go ahead, keep going.
I'm not
Wait till you're tired.
But anyway, let me just read it because he's wrong in this book. This is the idea that history means his story is a myth or folk etymology. It sounds logical in modern English, but it has no linguistic basis. History comes from the ancient Greek word historia, meaning inquiry, knowledge gained by investigation, or records of the past, with the English words his or story.
So what's a record of the past? It's a story, right?
Can I read mine? Because
wait,
like,
a record.
hold on. This might help you out a little bit.
Hold on. What is a record?
Hold on. We'll see. This was my prompt. I put hold on.
I'm sorry.
If someone
Please, I'm gonna shut
my
my
is spelled the way it is because it's, quote, his dad's story. Is there any truth to this claim or the spirit of the claim? And then it puts no.
The spirit of the claim, bro. Come on.
Yeah.
Hit us back.
No. But check this out. You said earlier, it's what I got too. It's a folk idea, clever sounding reinterpretation of the spelling, but linguistically incorrect. And then it goes into the true thing, and then it says the spirit of the claim, even though it's not etymologically true. The spirit that's saying it's metaphorically insightful. It points out that history is written and framed by people, often men, giving historical power. What we call history is a narrative shaped by perspective bias. So,
Frank, he was is an inquiry that would usually have.
You're wrong to say that that's why it's spelled.
Okay. I'm off wrong. Is the inquiry that would completely
that's
wrong? Hold on. Is the inquiry that?
That's why we don't say good morning, because morning means morning and slip. I was trolling.
Because we're breaking our fast.
Exactly. So that's a.
No, good morning has nothing to do with the sadness and grieving of mourning.
Countries in Africa, he didn't know where Chad was. He didn't know the history of Liberia. He's made so many mistakes. This isn't a long line of fucking embarrassments.
You said a long line of embarrassment.
The more you talk, the more you embarrass yourself.
I'm not embarrassing nothing, bro.
We're gonna let you continue. You're gonna say you're eventually gonna say something else incorrect.
Trust me. I'm not embarrassing nothing.
He just said that mourning means mourning as in sadness, and that's why people say grand rising. You didn't catch that?
Yeah.
That's sad.
Congress gonna defend it though. So
That's bad. No, it's not a fact. It's lore. It's appealing lore to make people feel more victimized and oppressed. It's sad. Pathetic. It's pathetic.
No.
Look, you're high. Can you just sit down somewhere and eat some Cheetos? Aren't you hungry? You don't have the munchies yet?
Don't be rude, bro.
Stop. Look, bro, you're the one who's dragging down the conversation with your low IQ folklore. It's weak.
I'm talking about folklore because folklore has been a big factor of human history. I'm not saying that I vibe like you. I'm saying that it's relevant for human history. It's about human
Drunk.
Yo, by the way, I'm not saying it like I live by these rules. I'm saying it as I'm just putting on the table that this has been something that's been relevant throughout human history for a long time. So I don't think it's something that is fair to ignore the knowledge of our ancestors. The same way that everybody marvels at ancient Egypt and ancient civilizations, we should also marvel at the knowledge that they did from before that as well. So that's a part. You can't take the good and then pick out the bad too. You can't pick and choose. I think you have to marvel at everything. That's my point. I'm not saying that I live by it. I'm saying that it's something that does exist. Do you understand that?
Yeah, Louis, you there? Let me ask you a question. Should be able to use deadly force in order to become unimpressed.
Yes, but it seems the international community has restraints on how that country can go about doing that.
Alright, so a couple of examples. Slaves who rebelled during time of child slavery in the U.S. Were they correct in killing the white people?
We could say yes. However, we could argue about the morality of killing women and children who aren't necessarily complicit, especially children. But largely, I would say yeah.
What about the people in Gaza who killed the Israelis?
We have to make the same argument. That's
Same answer.
And so, same answer.
Yeah. always say same answer. Well, when the U.S. moved on to Japan, it's a really, really tricky kind of decision to make. I'm glad I wasn't the person in charge of making that decision, but I think ultimately it's the decision we should have made.
I don't think it is saying that while we're put up in and alright, can we take a minute? Look, and everybody agree or disagree. And everybody agree or disagree. Let me finish this train, bro. We at the last stop. Just let me get this out. Alright. So now that you say you're pretty consistent throughout the board when I asked all those questions that those people who are oppressed, in order to get like some sense of freedom or fight back against their oppressors, they had to kill those people and they wouldn't be wrong, like morally.
With certain considerations, I didn't say they wouldn't be wrong wholesale. Like I said, make the provision of like women and children.
Yeah. Alright, so now that I want to ask you, right? Now that I ask you this, why was Hitler wrong when he did it?
Systematically killed women and children. What do you mean?
No, aside from them people, aside the number like.
Well, that's the main reason. And pardon me, but I don't like his structure of government was like completely anti-democratic.
Oh, so because it was anti-democratic,
and the killing of women and children and men, innocent men, civilians.
The civilians of enemy countries?
No, civilians of his own country and countries that he occupied at the time.
Yeah. Do you know? I'll say this conversation from there. I don't want to. Yeah.
Wait an hour and a half. I get off at 7. I'm at a catering gig. I'm in a very Shabbat neighborhood. When I get up to I'm more than happy to have this debate with you and prove you wrong.
All right.
Why do you stop right now?
Because I can't talk about this openly.
No, I'm saying
It's gonna take a while, and I don't want to like fucking dominate the room. Speaking codes. But alright, cool. So the nuclear bomb thing you said, can you hear me?
Oh my goodness, unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately, yes. Okay, fuck you, Monica. Because you're a lane switcher. 1 minute you're on the side, next minute you're being a traitor.
I'm a lane switcher.
I'm throw you in with the gas chambers.
A traitor? Wait, what? Are you a young Republican? You can't say that to me.
I'm a Republican. I don't believe in. I believe there's one mission that all politicians are trying to aim to and aspire to that, and they just make a yo-yo effect of one thing's going this way, one thing's going that way, but it's all going in the same direction, and they all plan together anyway. But about the bomb, I don't think that was justified force, because at the end of the day, a lot of civilians and a lot of people that didn't get to experience this life and have this conversation in clubhouse that we're having right now died. That's never right.
Would you rather full-scale invasion of the Allied forces into the Japanese islands?
No, so that's a good point.
That's a dichotomy, and that's a true dichotomy. That was the other option.
No, it's a very true dichotomy, correct. But the reason why America got to from what I know, the reason why they got to the creation of the nuclear bomb before Germany did is because of the fact that they actually employed together more cooperative terms of work, and they wasn't excluding some of the most brilliant minds that they were out there, the vision and fascism that Germany was employing. But before that, Germany were out of technology with the tank technology and military. Yeah. So there was during the war. We're banking right now, and Germany's on top. I don't know what people are hearing about Germany, but Germany's on top right now. The biggest banks and the best banks in the world are German. Yeah, I don't agree
Japanese were determined to fight the war, and there were even battalions, like years later, that were found that were unaware they didn't have any communication that the war had ended, and they were fighting people still.
You're talking about Pearl Harbor.
No, I'm not talking about Pearl Harbor. I'm talking about Japanese soldiers.
Yeah, okay, in general. But what they could have done, so you know how Japan, on the south, southeast of Japan, there's a archipelago or a distribution of islands that they could have dropped a bomb in between. There's a point, I don't know what point it is, but we could look on a map so we could maybe make a decision on that. We could have made it.
There's no guarantee the Japanese would have surrendered, and there's no guarantee that the full like military invasion of the islands wouldn't be like necessary. If they don't surrender because all right, they dropped the bomb.
Okay, so let me put this thing. So America, they didn't just produce one single bomb, did they? I'm pretty sure it was produced. It was.
They produced two or three. They produced the one in where is it? Nevada? Where the fuck? New Mexico? Mexico. They produced that one. They tested that. That was the initial. That was the first time they deployed, I think.
Yeah, they still have the military base over in New Mexico.
And then they made Little Boy, Fat Man Little Boy. I forget what it was.
It was a Fat Boy, and then I think they did Little Boy after. But my point is that you could have dropped one bomb as a display of force, and the other one was there, and you still have the method. The method didn't die.
Like they would drop one and the Japanese said fuck it, they didn't kill it.
I think they dropped one and asked for a surrender. No Japanese didn't surrender.
Wait. I'm saying you didn't have to drop on human life. You absolutely termination.
You absolutely did.
All right then, bro.
Wait, you're talking about
one day this
was
is
bombs by incendiary bombs every single day, and they did back here. And he said, we just got to drop a bomb in the ocean, and they're supposed to care now.
Wait. If we're talking about trade-offs, it's something I think like something towards like something upwards of like 2 million people were projected to die in the Japanese invasion. Really quick. Something upwards of like 2 million people were projected to die. Why are you doing this, bro?
It's so pussy when people intellectually.
Why are you doing this? Just let me get my argument out.
I hate it. I actually hate it.
You hate what? What do you hate?
When people try to intellectualize blood spill warfare, yeah,
That's intellectual.
It's not black and white.
Blade in his knife, and you look in his eye as he dies and he passes away. You do that. If you do that, then you have the right to call shots about multiple people dying.
There are reasons that we all hold that I feel like we all hold acceptable for loss of life that are more acceptable than other reasons for loss of life.
There's a reason why in America,
It's not like you don't have to be like children about
the
this.
thing I like about your country is that people say, oh, he can't be this person, that person, because they've never had any military experience. That's something that people in your country as a whole take as something that's important. So when somebody's talking about, yeah, we should drop a bomb and just eradicate masses, cities, people, children, men.
Yeah, but dropping the bomb was a trade-off. It's 250,000, 750,000 lives versus 2 million.
This time in the world, 1945 was when the World War II ended, yeah. That time in the world, before that was...
You're not listening, bro. You're not listening. I don't know what you're intoxicated on, but you're not.
Alright, intoxicated, alright, yeah, you hop it up. Don't talk about hospital and death if you're not willing to take a life with your own two hands yourself.
I already have, bro. What's your point?
Alright then, alright. Look a man in his eyes and take it.
I already have. What's your point?
Yeah, alright, you haven't.
I absolutely have.
You haven't.
Directly and indirectly.
Alright then.
I've directly
Don't be so fast to devalue human life if you're not willing to spill your own blood and have blood in your own life.
Wait, Luke, can you listen to me, Luke? Can you close your mic really quick and just listen to me for a few minutes? Yeah, thank you, bro. It's not really the same to compare it and say, oh, it's just needless bloodshed when we're talking about a trade-off of lives. If the bombs weren't dropped, Japan doesn't immediately surrender. We know this by their like general attitude in the war. said you would be quiet. Just shut up.
This doesn't make
You
sense.
said you'd be quiet, bro.
Sense.
I can't do this.
Alright, I'm done. After you, I'm being a dickhead. I cop up. My hands are up. Yo, no attitude, my bad. That's my fault. I'm being a dickhead. After you, Louis. Yeah, bro, you
Do we need a new
Look,
topic? Is that what?
Look, listen. Even after like the Emperor Hirohito signed the surrender, surrendered after he surrendered, there were still Japanese soldiers fighting. Like that goes to show you how like these people were like fervent. They weren't going to just quit. So if we don't drop the bomb on those people, and we don't show Emperor Hirohito that yo, we mean business, and yo, we have these bombs, and yo, they're really fucking destructive. That war goes on and billions more die. I think it's a fucked decision, but it's kind of like a catch-22. It's like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and if it means more Americans dying to the tune of millions, hey man, they brought us into this war. We didn't ask for it. We didn't tell them to go bomb Hawaii. They brought us into this war, bro. If you're not gonna stop, fuck it. We're gonna make you stop.
I think the difference of what you're talking about, you made a very valid point. The difference of what you're talking about is just money being spent. Alright, so in Europe, it's very well taught that America came in at the latter end of the war. The end part, they came with aerial mine, and they came with obviously nuclear bombs and things like that, right? So there wasn't so much of ground warfare with American troops. They were very hesitant to get engaged with the first part of the war, which is obviously but let me know wrong. Alright, cool. Alright, so when Hiroshima was dropped and the leaflets were thrown out to the citizens warning them that there was a bomb about to be dropped, okay? What could have been done differently? Let's just say in a fairy tale, hypothetical way, a bomb could have been dropped saying that this is for your commanders, your citizens. We have no war with Viet Cong said to black Americans that we have no. That's what they did, by the way. You could have dropped these letters off to the population of Japan and said, look, this is a display of our might. We're going to drop it off here. Say that the war's ended. You organize that the war has ended. Otherwise, we're going to actually drop one on you. Do you understand? That's just one technique. So let me just make one last point.
Again, you're assuming the Japanese would just...
Let me make one last point. Let's say, for example, I'm not me. I mean, a friend of mine. He's a G, and somebody owes him X amount of money or something like that. His family, the person that owes him money, their family are complete civilians. They don't know nothing about what their son is doing or anything like that. The easiest way, the brute force, the hammer way, is to just go straight to his house. Let's do debt collector. Let's do this and that. Let's execute brute force, violence, power. Or you could do a little bit more strategy, diplomacy, and different approaches to things. You have different weapons in your arsenal to go straight ahead. That's one point. I think the leaders of America are a lot smarter than me, and they're able to make that decision too. That's my point.
Let me simplify. Japanese, like America drops nuke in middle of the ocean. Let's say Japanese like fleet sees this nuke. They go back to the emperor. They say the emperor, they drop a very big bomb in the middle of the ocean. Very big. You must surrender. Yeah, that's not. The emperor's gonna be like, yeah, fuck out of here. Go back and fight to the death, bro. Like it's like telling him about they have this massive weapon is different than 250 people, 250,000 people, or like whatever, 30,000 people are dead in Nagasaki right now.
Yeah,
You have to surrender. Like American, it's a different message. It's a completely different message. It's taken differently, and we know that like even like a demonstration like fucking Nagasaki's on fire right now. It's just a more potent message to deliver to get an actual end to the war.
I think
it just is.
You kind of underestimate this guy's retarded, bro. He said, why didn't they use more diplomacy? They did. They exhausted every diplomatic channel. So it's like they literally dropped the bomb. They literally dropped the bomb. And they asked them to surrender, and they said no after dropping the bomb. Right? If it took a whole second one and another couple hundred just for them to surrender. And what you don't realize is that these people are not just people to give up easily. They were literally forming. I don't know what your issue is, bro. You would have been one of the people who was killed. Just go on mute, bro.
Bro, come on. Come on, it's Kitover. It's not that many people. Don't do this, bro. I'm gonna have to move you.
He should have jumped out of it. So, anyways, right, what he doesn't realize is these people don't give up easily.
Is that the third warning?
They're willing to sacrifice their entire lives to fight for the country and for, right? These are the people that were forming entire army groups out of women and children to fight the Americans that were going to land in Japan, right? This is a place where when America invaded Okinawa, which is part of Japan, the first island, and then Japanese island, right? It was a garrison. There was a you gotta let me finish, bro. There was a garrison of 30,000 Japanese soldiers, right? And when that American invaded now we got another nigga interrupted. All right, when the Americans invaded Okinawa, they literally had to kill every last one of those 30,000 soldiers because they would not surrender.
You're still retarded.
No, they literally out of the 30,000. You gotta let me finish, bro. You gotta let me finish.
Yo, Luke, that's your first warning, bro. Come on, you're crossing my head, bro.
Yeah, so of the 30,000 soldiers on the island, right? There was only one soldier out of the 30,000 who survived. And you know how many Americans it took to kill the 30,000? 60,000 Marines. And of the 60,000, 35 were wounded or killed. Right? So you just put that in perspective, right? The math, they didn't have a general.
This is your second warning. There's 3 strikes, bro. I don't know if you know about baseball in the UK, but there's 3 strikes.
You're an idiot. So you gotta let me finish. Alright, so it's like the generals did the math, right? They estimated on the low end, the very low end, that in order to invade Japan, they would need at least 6 to 8 million soldiers, right? It would be 5 million on the low end and casualties.
They could read it again off of you.
Right, so if you're the president and you're looking at, hey, the cost-benefit analysis of invading Japan, you're like, hey, we got these 2 bombs where we just kill, 300,000 people and force them to surrender, or we can invade Japan and we have 5 million of our own people killed plus millions of theirs. No, obviously you're going to choose the one with less people having to die.
I stepped away to have a cigarette. Eric, I think you brought up the best point. Most people that think that the nuclear bomb was excessive really need to go watch the fire bombings of Okinawa and Tokyo. Watch those videos. We took videos of what we did, and we played it for the Japanese. We also had radio broadcasts that would play on Japanese radio of a Japanese woman telling them to surrender, that the war is over, it's going to be a bad time. We tried our best. We burned down their capital city with firebombing. And it's kind of disrespectful. I'm done. I'm pro-Trump now. I'm supporting, fuck Europe. Because if they're teaching in, British schools and European schools, that we didn't aid in the ground invasion. The invasion of Normandy, D-Day, and that entire operation is why that we got a foothold
thank America and Canada for that.
America, Canada, and Russia from the eastern border. If it wasn't for our troops storming those beaches, dying, 1 out of 3 of them died before they hit the fucking beach. If these boys fighting in Belgium and Netherlands, you guys would be speaking fucking German. So, all praise to the U.S. military, bro. Let's
type on any AI, America. Type on any AI. America
ask it.
World War
Ask
II.
it.
You type
The
it.
British did nothing. You guys
I got-
conquered and got bombed, Luke.
I really respect you. You're very, very,
I
very
respect you
smart.
too.
You're very.
You kind of acted out of character, man.
Yeah, bro. This is a characteristic of you, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't care about what characteristic you think I'm a multifaceted man. Okay.
You know what? I'll grant you that.
So basically, you're very, very intellectually book smart. Just type in on ChatGPT or any AI. Did America join the World War II late? Just type it in. I haven't done it myself.
41, my friend.
I haven't done it myself. So you do it.
41. I'm working, but I can't type it in. I can go
Okay,
off
I'll do
my
it.
base
I'll do
knowledge.
it. Okay, I'll do
I
it for
can
you.
go off my base knowledge because I'm a typical American who loves World War II. It's my Roman Empire.
I'm not anti-American. Okay, so look, Monica, how do you do the thing? Okay, you have to share the link, right? Where you shared the ChatGPT thing before she did that.
You want to share a ChatGPT link? At the top.
My prompt is not catered to me. This is just you could type it. Like I said, I offered you to type it in yourself. Okay, so I typed in, did America join World War II late? Yes, the United States joined World War II relatively late, officially entering December 8th, 1941.
Yeah, buddy, because you have to stress like our president can't just be like, we're at war.
Began in Europe, September 1939.
I think the room can also say that I said 41. America joined the war in 41. You guys were
Right.
I'm not saying you guys were getting bombed for 2 years. There was no ground invasion of any sort done or retaliation done. France fell, and that's when the U.S. was like, okay, this is getting
France fell. Do you remember Dunkirk when England was embarrassed and had to withdraw from France?
English troops couldn't make a forward advance to fight German troops if it wasn't for Operation D-Day, if it wasn't for Market Garden, if it wasn't for the Battle of the Bulge, that would be the only reason for the British Navy to take over.
Talking about UK schools, you guys need to check out USA academia. You guys in university and all this stuff. I know that you guys are very smart, intellectual guys. I'm not. Okay, okay, I'm not claiming to be. But what I'm trying to say, 1941, America joined. World War II began in 1939.
Okay.
You guys said that. America joined when ground invasion began. Ground invasion began in 1939. That's not what we said. That's not what we said.
No, he said if it wasn't for Normandy and D-Day, like the Allied troops wouldn't have us as strong as a foothold on the European continent as we did.
Alright, at the end of the day, my ancestors and my
We also rebuilt all of Europe for free. And no one ever
I'm not British. I'm British. I'm not English. My grandparents and my parents, they moved here from Africa. I'm only saying the fact. Same point, bro. I saved the entire world from Germany, bro. Okay, so it's just a fact. God bless America. It's a fact. No, not only did we save the entire world, literally.
Imagine how great it would be to have like no need for a visa to travel to Europe as an American. Imagine how great it would be for me to go to France and live in France and not have to pay an extra tax because I'm an American.
Because you saved your fucking cheese-eating, surrendering that fucking country.
Every time I have to go to France and spend extra money for bullshit, right?
That's a skill
My
issue.
grandpa fought in your continent, right? My grandpa fought in North Africa.
Patriotic, right?
My grandpa fought for the French Foreign Legion with African troops. Yes, and I'm an American, and I could proudly say the French Foreign Legion.
Are you French?
Foreign Legion. No, I'm not. I'm Armenian. But the French French Foreign Legion was the only state in France yet.
Haide.
Haida is Arabic and Turkish actually, which is kind of
wow, that's crazy. You just spoke Turkish to my guy. That's crazy.
So it's not Balkan. You're gonna teach me this. This is what's crazy. The Balkans are Arabic.
I've been living this life.
Because they are Muslim. So
If I go to Serbia, if I go to North Macedonia, if I go to Turkey, if I go to Albania, if I go to Greece,
No, bro, it's tweaking in a big way.
what do you mean I'm tweaking?
You just tweaking, bro. You just got the motor mouth syndrome right now.
What religion do they practice in all those countries?
Guys, if you don't want us to be rude to Luke, we really should pass that mic around.
Alright. You
I
know,
just want to finish my point. Right? So my grandfather fought for the French. My grandfather fought for the French, but the French wouldn't be able to
He's still doing it.
the French wouldn't be able to do shit if it wasn't for the U.S. The French foreign legion. The French foreign legion. Légion étrangère, the white hats.
Légion étrangère is like the special forces of
Yes, he was in North Africa, he was in Morocco, he was in Libya, he was in the Sahara Desert. He fought next to U.S. soldiers, the U.S. What was it called at the time, armored divisions, where the Foreign Legion could actually get back to fighting, or else they were stuck with your SAS chaps.
Look at that. This is the point I was trying to deplete. The whole thing you're saying about no, the whole thing I'm trying to deplete is that you're saying your SAS. I'm saying it as a neutral spectator. Okay?
I can't be neutrality. It was a world war.
I'm just trying to disagree with it.
Anyway, anybody else talk about America. Yo, hey, Louis, I played.
I'm so glad that
on Tennessee, Alabama, bro. I played Tennessee to win. You think they won?
I'm glad
I don't watch college football.
What, bro? Get out of here,
Bro, I don't
I'm
watch
glad
college
everybody was
football.
entertained. I'm gonna leave now. God bless everybody.
Alright, bro.
Alright.
See you later, bro.
Fuck you, mate.
And that right, brother, you wanker. You wanker. Piss off, wanker.
Yo, Clan, yo, Slime.
And then right, dude, right in there, get this dude right in there, right, dude, right.
Clan, what's in my mug, Clan? Y'all niggas.
Blood pudding, bro, shit.
Alright, anyway, love you all. Alright, God bless you.
Bye, Luke.
And
Come back soon. Why y'all hating on Luke for?
nah, we're not hitting on Luke. He was just a little.
Not fam.
Hey, Dawn.
What do we do?
And then,
We weren't hating on Luke. Luke was hating on us.
Bima, what do you think about Hiroshima? You think it was unjustified to drop those?
That's a vote which we agree.
Do you feel this silence? This is called intellectual fatigue. This is when you get so tired of explaining things to people that don't want to listen. This is actual intellectual fatigue. Alright, because you guys are too tired. Somebody bring the topic up. I can't, I'm at work.
Listening fatigue. Okay.
My bad, I'm gonna check out my bets. See what we're working on. Ah, shit, bro. Fuck.
What do y'all think of Jasmine Crockett?
And then I think Jasmine Crockett is a firecracker. That topic, guys. I'm here to bring him back to life. Bring him back to life or something. All right, look. So, who determines good and evil?
Never already had that conversation, bro.
No.
Ew, and Eric says like, we already had it and figured it out. No, basically, or unless he's saying like, we already had it, as it's been spoken about for the
Literally every day for like 3 months almost, yeah.
And there's no answer to that. It's just whatever. It's just might makes right.
But why not?
Because they're reifications. People can't even define justice. We can't define. There's no good definition of justice.
The point is, it's sad.
There's no good definition of good.
I think if you feel like you're bad, you're evil, but in some places you gotta kill cat to eat, so you know it's all the high level.
Well, I mean, like, you have to define what evil is. You can't give an example of what evil is.
At the end of the day, it's conversation, right?
Yeah, it's one of the best. It's one of the best discussions that can be had because it takes a lot of work.
You know, I fucking hate you so much.
Alright, I actually have a question for the mods. Did that punk ass Gustavo ever tell us who the tertiary mods are? We're still guessing. I had put my nominations up, but I'm sure they were ignored.
I
think it's that sensitive.
I would
I didn't even
like
go fuck around.
mean, and I only ever mod one person ever. That's it. I don't do anything else with the green bee. Just one very specific person.
You say anarchist, communist. That's not true, anarchy. Not true.
Yeah, that's bullshit. You don't know what anarchy is. You still will sit here and talk about anarchy and not have anything researched or about. That's disappointing because you're smart. You'll still sit here and talk shit about anarchy, talking to other people, filling them with bullshit about anarchy, your own made-up definition. Lord gosh, you gotta stop that.
Or what? I mean, what's gonna happen now?
What's gonna happen is you're honestly
Let's
you're
go
gonna
down
be
the
identified. You're gonna be identified as someone who's not any type of advocate or friend to anarchy, right? That's just what it is. If you really truly believe in it, you're harming the idea and the concept of it.
I mean, I may be harming the pacifist versions of it, correct?
No, there's no pacifist. There's no pacifist versions of it. It's what anarchy is. And what you and your made-up version of a bunch of words that you put together don't even make sense. And there's no, this is anarchy. No, that's idiocy, Lord God.
Oh, that's a R. That's anarchy, that's
This isn't about libertarianism. I think it's effectively the same thing. It's idiocy.
Yeah, well, that people could say that too, but we're not both fighting for the same. We're not both fighting for libertarianism, right?
Not fair. You could like ask out. No, go ahead. No, go ahead. No. You guys. I think she's criticizing anarchy. Not sweet. Look, at the end of the day, pretty much, ultimately, every forms of anarchy coexists in its own way. Now, obviously, the communist version of it would probably exist in my hypothetical version of it. It's just with yours, it's, from my perspective, it's a little bit more pacifist. It's not true anarchy. Anarchy doesn't have any form of laws or regulation to restrict you as the individual to do whatever you want without any form of restrictions. Also, restrict corporations or other groups that would be able to produce technology and anything else that would really further advance society within a couple years.
understand.
I didn't hear that.
Is libertarian ideas the easiest way for liberals to consider the values of conservative ideas?
Yeah, I think there's more overlap.
There's overlap, but libertarianism essentially is not really, because conservatism is more related to liberalism. It's just an offshoot of liberalism.
Okay.
Libertarianism is an offshoot of liberalism. Is that what you mean?
No, but conservatism, conservatism.
Well, conservative is kind of like the opposite of liberty.
I don't think so, because in libertarianism, it's still like a focus on limited government, and the libs like big government. So I just feel like by that, they're not really interested in those ideas.
No, but
Liberal is in prioritizing individual rights over collective and strong adherence to capitalist ideals. That's like classicism.
classical liberalism. Well, classical liberalism is small. Actually, they don't like big governments. It's where conservatives get the idea for minimalist government. Right. Like a lot of times people interchange liberal with progressive, so they're sort of different things.
They're different ideals. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So like the opposite of conservative is not liberal. The opposite of conservative is progressive. So like in political theory, these changes will happen over time, let's not push them. Where classically progressive is say, we need to have the government do things in order to facilitate the change that we want to see. Ultimately, both conservative and progressive want to see the same end state, but it's how you get there.
And they do so within a liberal framework. They both generally adhere to the same things classical liberals are, because even classical liberals think they're like offshoots of classical liberalism. Some people want to
As in liberty.
Right.
Like, individual freedom, kind of stuff. And that's why when you have the blue hairs, it's like, no, that's like literally a conservative idea to say you can have the blue hairs, because it's about the liberty to have the blue hair, and we should be defending that as a conservative.
Right, that's why, because a lot of conservatives in there are liberal. They're not. You can't consider conservative. But when you use that F word, they get freaked out.
Hypothetically, what type of ideology would solve the whole world's problems from most of everyone's perspectives?
I just wish we got rid of money and started trading rice and animals again.
Voluntarism, Lord Mouse, look it up. Like really,
I know about that, but no, not everyone's going to fucking do it. Just think like, oh, it's just for the great good of the country. We don't need to fucking
Well, unfortunately, Lord, everything's driven by money. So all you need to do is get rid of the money. Unfortunately, every political ideology is driven by money. Everything's driven by money. So I think that's the main issue we have. If we don't get rid of the money, we're not going to get rid of these ideologies and the way of controlling us, the A and these ideologies and A and these lobbyists and A and all this shit. All right, Samoa, it's okay. It's okay. All right, it's okay.
When people don't have money, they want to give away money.
money.
Right.
When you don't have money to give it away?
No, like when you can't give away something you don't have. Like when a lot of people have a lot of money, and the people that don't have any money want to give away our money. That's the problem.
Oh, yeah, of course that's a problem. Yeah. Yeah, but we also pay into the bullshit small. We can't not admit that. But we buy stupid shit as people in this country. We're spending money on pointless shit for no reason, just to be cool or it's a trend. So I feel like we have to fix our mindsets just as individuals and not even stick to a political idea.
Well, not hide money, but I mean, it would be more of a collective, and I mean, I could say, clothing, there wouldn't be any creativity, I mean, I don't know, from my perspective, there wouldn't be a lot of improvements, really, if we're just gonna stick to a collective idealism.
Well, that's the point. Is like collective is not going to be all one thing. That's the problem. Is that these political ideologies they try to put us into one box. I feel like that's what makes it sort of more of a collective, a generalized ideology, where there is no creativity. You have everybody believing in their own thing and not being put in a box, so that they fight each other over these boxes that we put ourselves in, that the government sets us up to put ourselves in. I feel like it's all a manipulation tactic to keep us, divided. I don't see anything wrong with not aligning with the political ideology and just sticking with what serves you.
Isn't that a product of having an independent mind?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't like a social construct of the collective mindset of certain things going against our nature?
No, a hive mind would go against our nature. Like, I don't, literally, if you're working in a hive and everyone's doing a part of the full job, whatever that is, yes, that goes against individualism. But just being in a collective or, sort of working together for something doesn't necessarily inhibit creativity if you have extra time.
Like, let's say 20% of the people, the smartest people in the country, they actually have a clear vision on where they want to go. The other 80%, they really can't understand it, so they're just on for the ride.
Well, but think of it as like an art collective. That's a bunch of artists that are all there to make art, whatever that is. But individually, they're all going to make different types of arts. There's no rules on what kind of art that they can make.
Art, it's all like kind of like that, so where they're creating this song, but there's so many roles into making that song, and they all have their individual input on it. It is a collective, but it is with an individual. So it's not like everyone's doing the same.
So when people are listening to, let's just use your example, your music, when people start listening to all these different varieties of music, and then they start picking what actually, or like what affect or relates to them, and they start picking favorites, isn't that the actual listeners that's kind of like creating this value system in between artistry?
Of course, we did the same with politics, making, the idea of these ideologies so important, so valuable, it's all we identify as in the States. Like, I'm a Republican, not a Democrat. So I feel like it's like the same shit, so where we succumb to that. It's not the.
Mossad, Mostad, Peckham, Campbellville.
Yeah, I've been to Mood several holidays.
Okay.
Working late.
So
Have you been to Tottenham? Have you been to West Derby? Have you been to Tottenham?
you said what? For a long time, right? And you said you had to leave. So, if you're not on stage to finish, why don't you just leave then instead of being a chat bandit?
Somebody else trying to bring up courts. I don't know why he doesn't want to bring
So
up.
you might have to leave the room and come back.
He says in the chat he didn't want to come up.
Oh.
Say that again?
I think he said that he wanted to come up.
He said I'm good. I didn't
continuous until somebody wants to join in. That's where the power lies for me. It's the individual when it's capable of knowing that you're the one with the power. You are the guy you've been looking for. You've seen things happen, and it'll be scary at first because you start realizing, damn, maybe I am in a simulation. Because how the fuck did I just think this, and this person called me, or all of a sudden the next day or the next couple of days you run into the person in a weird location where you're like, what are the chances of me thinking of, let's just say, making pop, and all of a sudden I'm in the mall and then I run into her in Zara's, and be like, oh shit, make it pop. If I see make it pop the next day, I'm thinking in my mind like I wonder what's up with make it pop, and then all of a sudden I run into her tomorrow in the mall at fucking 2 in the afternoon. I'm gonna go up to her and be like, yo, what's up, girl? I'm glad you got the message. Now, if she's on point, she might say, if she really got the message, she'd be like, yeah, what's up? What's going on? And if not, if she doesn't know, she might just say something like, what message? And I have to tell her, I thought of you yesterday, and all of a sudden you're standing in front of me. So I called you, so somehow the alignment worked that I needed to see you, and then we have to figure out what is the reason why that I thought about her and now I'm seeing her in person, and that's where the real manifesting happens at that point of what's the meaning for that. So this is what's happening and people are not noticing it, and the government knows this, so their job is to distort that and change that and alter that and put you in different groups and all that, because they don't want people to know that you have that power, because they're using you for that power in order so they could get what they want, in order for them to create the reality, this fake paradigm that they have going on. All right, this is what I'm talking about, bro. That I'm confused, bro. I can't even understand what homeboy's saying. You know. So, they use that against us because they don't want that when they're using our energy in order to create this reality for us to build, the cities that they want, for them to build, all the things that they're looking for, what they need, and to control us. They got us, we mad, and we helping that because we're building all the things that they using to put us in a prison. They're using us. They got us building the schools where they're indoctrinating us with their lies. They got us building the churches where they're giving us the lies. They got us building, the city where you live in and the projects where you live in to keep you there, so then they could bring the drugs and the guns and have people fighting and killing each other. And everybody they're using, and they say, hey, you want a job, right? You want to work, you want to pay the bills to live better and all that. And they're using everybody, and they're fucking everybody while they're using it because they use energy, knowing how powerful you are and how creative you can be. So it's a very wild situation that's happening out here, what they're doing to people and utilizing them. And you got the power. That's you.
People have a hard time coming to terms with how deep the manipulation goes as far as using us to create the reality they want, and it's like first you hear like 9/11 or something, you're like, oh my God, really? And that's just like one step of them messing with stuff. And then you have to go back to all our history been manipulated. And all the good guys were actually bad guys and vice versa. And it's just, and there's programming and everything to get that done. Everything is programmed.
Yeah, that is correct. And I think sometimes it's hard for people to receive that, and it makes it difficult for them.
Oh God.
Like, even like when, I don't know, what is the main thing they're talking about now in the news? Because I don't watch the news. The only news I see.
Which they had the King's protest. That's another way to get a lot of people fucked up all in the crowd. Which I saw how they have Chicago. Yeah, it's saved by the media, but I don't trust it. Who knows? I mean, they're just showing it right. They showed a whole bunch of people literally crowded to go let people get
shut them down till November. And nobody can come in or come out, supposedly. That was in one of the articles they also released. And some of these people that have their funds, people with food stamps and all that, they're basically not gonna have no funds at all for November at all. Nothing. Nobody's getting it due to the shutdown. So you're gonna have people. I mean, this is like the stuff that we've been talking about earlier. Like people have to be preparing for all their food, how they're gonna do all these lockdowns, these systems, things. Depending on what they decide to do, it's gonna go crazy. And then I think Donald Trump was supposedly, basically, I think that man's probably prepping for his so-called arrival or death, because he was talking about making some arc of Trump, I think in the Lincoln Memorial, something he said.
Arc de Trump.
He said, so he's basically trying to build himself a memorial, I guess, close to the sacrificial statues that are around. I think that's the thing. And then they're talking about the 3-1 Atlas coming into play, where all these politicians, actors, individuals, presidents are going to supposedly be in the Bohemian Grove doing the cremation care ritual on the supposedly so-called day for the Atlas, when it supposedly is going to be done at the same time. So those are basically the things that are in the topic right now.
So long. Like when that guy was killed, Charlie Kirkwood, I had no clue who he was. And I'm proud to say I had no clue who he was.
She's proud that she wasn't a part of his manipulation. I didn't know who he was.
Time analyzing like the psyops. Like they get that it's a psyop, but then they spend like 3 hours on a show like analyzing why it's a psyop. It's like, you're doing what they want. You're still wasting your time and your energy on distractions, instead of really figuring out what you need to do to get yourself out of this trap.
And the thing is, for me, is that even if you can't figure out, because remember, this what we talk about is not for everybody. I come to know this, and I realize it. So to me, is even if you can't figure it out, it's okay, because it's late in the game. It depends. It's up to the individual. It's not late for the individual to have realization. And collectively, it's late in the game. You're not going to beat the system of what they're doing. You're just not. This is the most weirdest thing for me when it comes to things like, these religion fanatics and these Jesus fanatics are these beings that are not doing nothing to help the situation. Like, I don't know what more that the system needs to do to people for them to realize that all these characters that they've been praying to and claiming, whether it's Allah, Yeshua, Yahweh, Jehovah, all these false characters that people are claiming are not doing nothing, because every day they suppress you more. They're doing more things in order to tighten up the news, whether it's all the things that make it process or what we've spoken about. So for me, I just think that if you cannot get on board with it, at least live your best life. At least do that. At least wake up tomorrow and say, today's a good day, and then move accordingly. Do the things you like to do. Be around the people you like to be around. At least do that. And that benefits everybody if you could just at least do that. You don't have to know what I know, make it pop know, or Trish. You don't have to know none of that. All you need to do is start appreciating yourself. Start appreciating what you see in the mirror. Stop doing the things that you don't like. You know what I'm saying? If you don't like these certain people that be around you, don't be around them. If you don't like waking up to the person you're with, stop being with that person. If you don't like the job that you're in, change your job. And people continuously do things to feed the beast that they don't like to do for whatever it is. They call it justify the means. Are the means being justified? Really? At some point, are you actually compromising against your truth? Because most people just compromise themselves against their truth. They say, oh, man, that's not helping the overall energy source that everybody's got to walk around, especially if they're 6 degrees from you. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be damaging to actually them to some degree, and dependent on those people, how much they going through shit, it could affect them either more or less. So, I just think that people just need to get it together. If not, stay out the way, because when shit hits the fan and it goes left and the shit turns lawless, I'm telling you, I'm not gonna have a problem of taking out anybody that gets next to me that's not in alignment with what I'm doing at that point. I will personally put you down. I'm going to be putting people down if it gets to that. And it's going to be annoying because you've been told, you've been warned, and it's not going to be my problem that you're going through this now, because if you try to take from me for no reason, for me not bothering you, I am going to be putting people down. It's just what it is. It's something I did in my past that I changed, and if I have to go back to that person because people will start bugging out because of the system, allow the system to create the ignorance, then I would just, you want to say,
He's admitting to having formerly killed
you're
people.
not going to take me out with some stupid shit. It's just not going to happen. I mean, I'm not saying the government can't take me out. Of course, they're strong, and I'm not going against them. I'm not going against the government. I don't like what they're doing. And I learned a long time ago, I'm not against them no more. I just don't like what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? I can't do nothing about what they're doing anymore. I could do something about it personally, me. I could fix myself. I could master myself. And then I could start aligning myself to appropriate frequencies that benefit my reality. And I'm not going against them. I'm not doing the Minuteman March. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad. I don't give a shit about Charlie Kirk. I don't care about Candace Owens. I don't care about Bill Gates. I don't like what none of these people do. All these people are full of shit. I mean, I've been warning people about Trump for the longest. You remember that, Mickey Pop? When people were on the Trump bandwagon, when he was going into office and people were like raving him and saying he was that, I was telling people,
They were all idolizing abortion. And they were like, yeah, I said, oh, y'all, that's some dumb shit.
Yeah, I said it clean. I said, this guy's going to usher the New World Order correctly. He's going to be the guy that's going to put you through the telecommunication company. He's going to put you on the digital ID. He's going to be that guy. And people were like, nah. I said, for 100%, I know that he was going to be that guy. This wasn't me suggesting. This wasn't me, just assuming. I knew. And I know important people around me that were telling me, you are right. This is all sharing the information. Like, no, this is his job. That's his job. That's what he's going to do. Anybody ever see that guy on Instagram? Some people be sending me his stuff. And I follow him for a long time. He is annoying. Me and him went back and forth already. Also, that guy that claims he's the 7th generation Illuminati, that he's always wearing the mask.
Oh, really?
You ever seen that guy?
You did it? Seriously?
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, I went back and forth with him, and he said something, and I said something back in the comment, and he tried to say something to me. I said, boy, I told him, dude, you're a clown. I said, first of all, you wear this mask like nobody knows who you are. I was like, you got all these tattoos and all that. You act like nobody's going to figure out who you are, from voice recognition, from your tattoos, from your background and all that. Not me personally, because I don't know him. I don't give a fuck if a meteor hits that, a fake meteor hits him in the head. I don't care. And he says things that we talked about years ago. And he says it like it's some profound information because he claims that he comes from the Illuminati, but he doesn't. I said, bro, we know this. We know this already. You're not even saying nothing that we don't know. You know what I'm saying? You're not a genius. You know what I'm saying? If you being in the Illuminati, please tell me something serious, because if what you're saying is you're claiming is serious, we already know that. Everybody in this motherfucker probably knows the shit that he says. Even the people that don't be on that type of time in here might be like, yeah, but we heard this in here 4 years ago. You know what I'm saying? He's saying that shit with authenticity, Ricardo, I have to show you, I have to get the link. I don't know, make a pop. You got his Instagram that you can post?
Yeah, let me go check. Hold on.
So you can see Raekwon, and you can see, and listen, he's not saying like bad shit, and he sees from pictures. He actually, somebody tried to put him on blast, so I don't know how true it is, that he tried to post a picture. He's out in his house, and he showed a picture of, he said his mother, if I'm not mistaken, I think he said his mother or his grandmother. So one of the two, his mother, his grandmother, and she was saying, that famous party that the Rothschild, there's a famous party that there's pictures in the net that the Rothschilds throw. The ceremony
Oh
when they
yeah,
open
with
the mask.
those shifting faces, those shifting
Right.
faces, yeah.
Right, with the eyes wide shut thing and all that. And he said that that was his mother or grandmother with some guy, and her name was LeBaron something. LeBaroness something, and stuff like that. Somebody tried to say in the chat, that, in the comments that, bro, that's this person, that is not your mother. And this, and who knows?
You know what it looks like? It looks like the same individual that I spoke to that was in Clubhouse, which it looks like, and I'm gonna say, it kind of looks like it because the fact is that the individual has the house all wooded up, right? So it's the same individual that said he was associated to the same people. And I'm like, wait a second, some of the stuff that this guy told me ends up being same of the stuff that this individual is talking about, especially the house. Because like I remember him sending me some stuff about the families and the crest and all that they were all related to them. It might be the same dude, but he really didn't show his actual face. He just showed like his feet and the whole of the household, which kind of like, wait a second, that household looks like the same pictures that he kind of said that maybe can't be, but then who knows? Well, I forget it's the name of the avatar the guy is. What is his name that he goes by? I forget.
The guy I'm telling you to check his Instagram?
Yeah, what is he goes by?
I forgot, but it's something like the 7th generation Illuminati.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, let me go check.
And then his name is the 7th generation Illuminati shit or something like that. I like the point is for that is like, you think that if my family, if you was in what he claims he's in and his family is, because when he talks about, he says, we are doing this to you. He really speaks in that kind of like vernacular, like he's saying that I am part of them and this is what we're doing to you. And he's warning you about this are the things that we're doing to you that's happening. You don't think that these people would have stepped to him already and told him, yo, you better shut the fuck up. How about that one? And like they're not gonna know who he is. Like he got significant tattoos.
Oh, he goes by Angel Dust. By Angel Dust.
Angel Dust. I think he gets drugged up, maybe.
I gotta see some of the stuff that he just put in there. Which one did you want me to check? Because he posted a couple of them.
No, just post the link to his bio so Raekwon could see, because she said who.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Give me a second.
Okay, hold on.
That play roles to get money and especially claiming to be from the bloodline families and stuff like that. That you have to, use your discernment.
Let me check this thing. Might not even let me. Hold on. Post it up here. Hold on. You gotta go the other way around because I'm trying to share it and it won't let me copy it, so I gotta figure it the other way around. Hold on. Yeah, but it goes by Angel Dust. You know who the mask that he has right now? He reminds me of a warrior. Hold on. Give me a second.
Hey, you guys.
Hey, Rusty.
I mean, we do right.
There it is. I think it's that one. Yeah. It's in the chat.
Oh, you posted the link?
Yeah,
And I want to know that. And just listen to some of his reels of what he's saying, and it's everything that we've spoken about. I just try to figure out, like, I look forward to if I meet, which I have met some people that are some degree in that upper echelon. What degree they are, I don't know. And I look high up, I see the symbolism of some of them where these emblems, on their suits and all that, because I've been in certain parties because,
That guy, that Maryland man's the one motherfucker.
right. So I've been, around some of these people that actually treat me with great respect. You'd be surprised. And I had conversations with them, and they have told me some weird shit that I have looked up, and I've been like, hold on a second, why would this person tell me that? And they don't tell me like what they is, that I can just tell. And most of the time, when I'm having conversations with some of these individuals that around me, once in a while, depending what kind of event I'm in, you know, they they do a lot of smiling when you ask the right question. You know what I'm saying? They don't do a lot of talking, and you ask the right question, like you're talking, and then you say something, and they do a lot of, so what do you think about that? And then you say, well, I think, and this and that, and they like smile, and they be like, well, all this is possible. They say like things like that. They never really get into, or they'll suggest, they'll be like, well, if you're really interested in that, maybe you should look up A, B, and C. And then you'd be like, wow, not really B and C, but they'd be like, maybe you should look up, lockstep, let's just say. Maybe look up lockstep, and whatever you're talking about right now, that would answer that for you. And they'll do something like that. You know what I'm saying? And then it's up to the individual whether they choose to. Like me, I hear some shit like that. I'm going home, or I might walk away and go to the bathroom or something, and I'm gonna look it up right there to see if I can educate myself real quick on some shit like that. And I'm telling you, like, I take it all serious, everything that I'm hearing, especially when it comes to somebody being in front of me. Like if you stand in front of me and I meet you, they introduce me, or even if you're around me and you're having a conversation and I'm standing there and I'm talking to, let's say, make it poppin' with an event, and I'm hearing two different groups of people next to me, and for some reason I catch wind of something, I start focusing my left ear, feel my left side, and I'm listening and I'm taking in that information. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a reason why I'm hearing that and I'm in that space next to you and I'm hearing something that may be take away from me having my conversation with Make It Pop. Like I'm always focused like that, to say, what's that? That pertains to me. Let me add to that. Or if I hear something, I might even join. Like I'm very good with that, very assertive. To turn around and be like, wow, that's very interesting. I just heard you guys talking about, and I would just insert myself. And then it's up to you, be like, well, we weren't talking to you, mind your business. And they'll be like, okay, have a good night. And I'll just keep it moving. I'm fine with all that. Tell you.
The majority of the stuff that we basically talked about, and it's interesting, right? Because that was before we were in stereo, then jumped into Clubhouse, and like we've been talking about for years, like on it, and like now everything. I think you just even some of the stuff that you got done repeating, they're just basically just repeating everything what majority of us did in the research, like literally deep dive, as well as the stuff that you've been reading, the stuff you talked about. It's not being talked about it now. Some of these individuals. That's interesting. This is the guy told you something.
I don't know if it's got any correlations, but I looked at this guy's Instagram. I've seen this dude before, but he reminds me of Goldberg from WWE. You remember the guy?
Yeah, but like a skinny version. Goldberg was muscular.
He looks like one of those individuals.
He's not like I can't remember the Mexican fighter that always wore the face mask. He was always my favorite dude too, and I can't for love of me, I can't remember it. But this dude reminds me.
I reminds me of the warrior. What's
see on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and all that, it's all like one big show. And a lot of the people that were a good source of information have been compromised, unfortunately.
Well, the
And
world is a stage. Remember that.
yeah, it's all scripted. And Dave, what you were saying earlier, I've seen that happen too. Like the people are becoming, they're falling prey to the programming, especially the religious programming. I mean, is probably the strongest, and you know that all of that programming, you know, they don't realize they're feeding the system when they're falling prey to that. Because you know, I always say this when I realized this, it was like it made so much sense to me that worship energy and sacrifice energy feeds the system. It feeds the parasitic consciousness that hijacked us. So all these people that fall prey to that programming are literally feeding the system that is holding them. They're praising their jailer, and they don't even realize it.
And he's basically what? He's Jewish? He's a Jewish individual? Is that what he is?
So let me tell you, I haven't stepped a foot out of my house to like right now, like the whole week. And I'm gonna tell you about it, because you know I'm always transparent about my life. So Sunday, remember they were talking about, and people think this is a joke, but remember how they were talking about that storm coming, you know, on the East Coast and shit like that, and it was so Sunday I go to my best friend's birthday dinner in Manhattan, and it was raining. It was actually raining a lot, not like crazy hard, but it was raining. So I get dressed and I do my hair, you know, because we were going to a restaurant where I put away a hat and shit. So now I park like a block away from the place, and I'm getting wet from the rain and all that shit. You know, we have the dinner, we having a great fucking time and shit, like, and you know, have maybe like a few drinks with my best friend. We was there with like 8 of us, and then I leave, and I go. And which I do like once in a blue moon, and I sit there and I just do some work, you know, and all of a sudden the next day I woke up sneezing a lot. And I couldn't, and I really have my body trained that if I sneeze 3 times in a row, I already know I'm under attack. You know, my body's already telling me, hey, you know, you know the protocol, you know, operation protocol that you got in place it. So I'm like, what the fuck? So for like the next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I was having the ultimate sneezing attack. It never got to the point, you know, when people get, you know, what they call sick or the flu, and your body starts hurting, and then you start coughing to the point where you cough and you get a fucking headache. And I was sneezing, and the sneezing started giving me a headache. And I was like, oh, I never say things like, what the fuck is going on? I said, oh, these motherfuckers are going to put something, they're going to cloud seed the air and the rain and all that, and the people that are going to be outside and all that, or breathing what they put in, they're going to start getting sick. You know, it's going to affect some more than others. And fucking, and so I stood in the whole week. I just ended up taking, you know, the black seed oil, the oil of oregano, you know, taking all this stuff that I take, and I, you know, I got rid of it. Never got to the point of coughing. It never got to that point. And you know, I'll tell you that we're under attack, man. These motherfuckers right here, they do not give a fuck, and I don't trust them at all when it comes to that stuff. And I just try to stay clear. You know, when I know that it's gonna be.
Sage your house?
What happened?
So did you ever sage your house when all that shit?
I actually didn't sage. I didn't sage my house, but I do have sage, but I didn't sage my house. But, you know, yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to share that because I went through that this week, and today's the first day that I'm actually I still doing my work and my business because everything's phone calls and emails. So now I'm stepping out to the club because I'm open tonight. And I'm back to 100%. I knew that was going to happen.
Well, just imagine that, Disco, if you just imagine all the people that got infected around there with that geo type of stuff in the air, which is crazy. They're gonna, oh yeah, we were talking about coming into that. I think there's supposed to be an option, I guess, for the solids, but you know how that shit goes, right? So they're supposed to activate that frequency. I think it's the 8 gigahertz that they're gonna activate, which is basically that sleeper cell shit, right? But they're gonna, and I think the way it is right now with all the people that are in those crowds, there are people gonna be gonna get sick because they always do that. They have these certain days, right, of praising to these things, and they have those crowds to get in there. There's gonna be some infected people. So we already know they can raise a certain frequency. Whoever has the vaccine in them, they can actually spread it from person to person. So imagine all those people are in there. They're the ones that are non-vaccinated and the vaccinated. There's going to be problems because you see how Chicago, if that's what it really looks like in TV, I'm not saying to believe it, but they actually showed a video of all those people that are there in Chicago, the non-protesters and the other ones. All they need to do is basically transmit a frequency through their cell phone or to one of those individuals to activate them, and it's going to spread to every one of those individuals that is there automatically. That's crazy. And when it comes to them, I think activating, because they have till December 5th for the actual satellites, I think the telecom and whatever, because it's going to be through military, so it's going to be that radar frequency, which is going to be the 8 hertz, which is going to be another frequency, whatever it comes to that tech inside of your body, the transmission, right? It's going to affect some of these people, but I think where it's going to get between here to, I think they said November 21st, one of those days, I think we're going to actually activate that shit already. But I think they're already doing it. But if they put those people in the crowd, you better believe it, it's going to start skyrocketing. They're going to have that cold winter, that virus effect. They're going to shut shit down, which they're already saying that they're going to close all the borders till November 21st, right? You can't go in and out. And the fact is that also those people that have all the by state, like those people that have food stamps and everything, those individuals, they're not going to have from November. So that comes right close to the cold winter, right? They're going to literally hit everything's coming in all angles. So if they did put that in the air, you better that people already got sick or they activated extra shit inside of their body.
Yeah, and then my nephew, I really didn't speak to him all week. I got him working with me, and today I speak to him, and he tells me, I hear him like sneezing, and he's like, yo, he was like, I don't know where this came from, bro, and I've been the last few days, I've been like sneezing a lot, and most of this mucus is coming from that like dolphin drip coming out his nose he's talking about. And he's like, and he was like, yo, I was running around because he serves his main job, he serves papers.
I think you went into the Matrix, Disco.
Sneezing and coughing, and he found it weird, and I told him, I said, no, bro, that's not weird. And then I told him what happened to me, the same story I just shared. And he was like, oh, man. He was like, we're fucked. And I was like, yo, do people think I'm playing when I tell them? Like most of the time, I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna stay in my house, or I wear a hat. I have like waterproof hats, and shit like that, and I do that. My car's in the garage, so I could get in my car and drive to where I gotta go, and I don't need the rain to hit me, but not that day. I got semi lit up with the rain and all that stuff. And I'm telling you, the very next day in the morning, that shit, I started sneezing a lot. And I was like, oh man.
You would have to buy something for your car. Keep in mind your car has a little sponge filter inside. You're gonna have to figure out if you can find something that filtrates it, because if it starts raining and the shit is out there, when the air unit turns on, that's another thing that you need to look into. I read an article, that shit comes right into the air unit vent and it filtrates right in your face. So if you are gonna get that rainy storm or that any fog or anything, you better start changing the filter in it inside the car, and you can change that sponge and change it to something else, see if you can filtrate it. Because that's also a thing that they can actually do. People don't understand that it goes through the vent.
Well, there's like no true way around it though.
No.
Unless you got like a mud room, like before you enter your house, where you can dress down, or a decontamination area, you're never gonna get away from it.
Because the moment you go outside, it's already in the air, it's everywhere. I think the articles that you read today, it's already in the air. And the things, they're just putting them in small portions. So the networks, like the cellular, the internet, everything's just transmitting that frequency. And the game that you played this today with the Call of Duty, part of that, as part of that project also. All that stuff in there.
No, they tell you, listen, that new Battlefield game, right? When you see the story of what they're talking about in the Battlefield game, it's crazy what they're telling you, and how real, they show you, the campaign. I didn't play the whole campaign yet, and so, a lot of the campaign, people posting like, yo, what are they trying to tell us here? Because they got like certain campaigns like in the Bronx, in New York, or in Brooklyn. That's I think the three places where. Right.
Shit.
Right.
No shit.
Right, and they tell you the story how there's gonna be like chaos and there's gonna be like civil war. Like they telling you in the fucking game. Video games always have shared what is considered the revelation of the method. The video games have always shared that shit.
You think it's gonna start there just today with the perspective what we're figuring out? Like they told me, like Florida is gonna separate from their own place, and so is Texas. They're about to, since they're banning a lot of the shit that's going on. But of course, the chemtrails, that shit's still in the fucking air. They're still doing it regardless, because of course of Elon with his shit. But do you think it will officially start some stuff over there and head down, or do you think it's just going to be all evenly in play? Because since they're already doing the whole lockdown.
I don't know. I don't know. I was just that.
Spotty at first.
Well, I think they would have hit it, wouldn't it?
I would say all the Civil War is going to be spotty at first. That's coming from a 17th prestige Call of Duty, and I don't even want to talk about Battlefield. And when I saw Battlefield, whatever fucking coming up, I really felt it in my bones. I was like, oh my god, I gotta get back in the game. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. But it's gonna be spot. There's gonna be hot spots. You're gonna have like hot spots like Atlanta. Atlanta's gonna be a hot spot. Like Missouri, no, not Missouri, but Minnesota's gonna. It's gonna be like it's gonna be like the measles at first. It's just they're gonna pop off in these small locations, but then it's gonna radically, overtake everything.
Yeah, just imagine if they did already.
It's gonna take over everything.
Well, that's the Civil War that they want to happen. It's gonna like slowly take over everything because that's what they're trying to do.
Who's gonna fight the Civil War?
Everybody's going to. If you don't fight, you're gonna die.
Who's gonna fight in the Civil War? There's gonna be 2 sides, 3 sides, 4 sides. How many sides?
Exactly. You're not gonna know who to fight for or who to fight with.
Well, when that shit happens, I don't want fighting for me. That's what I was saying earlier. Regardless of what they want to call it, right? No matter what they call it, you come bring that shit to my door, I'm going to lay you out. It's going to be that simple. There's no question asked. As soon as they go to I mean, for me, it's just.
Oh my god. This is creeping me out.
And this is why for me, my job is to every day wake up and enjoy my life. I'm worried about what the news got to say. I'm not focused, on none of that. I wake up and I look forward to just continue doing the things I love to do. That's it. I feel like I'm the best thing I could do for my fellow humans is live my best life and laugh and enjoy myself because that type of energy out there and that's the best that I can do. It's that's all. I'm not taking their side. I'm not taking nobody's side. I'm not taking no religious side. I'm just fortunate that where I live at, I do have at least 8 to 10 friends of mine that live in the complex where they know now as people, as just regular people know now that if somebody came to our complex to do something, we're gonna become Voltron and somebody's gonna get hurt, because of this. Individually they can hurt, we can hurt, and collectively we're just gonna do some damage. Now, are they all on the same page with me with the things that I know to what they into? No, we are not. We're not on that. Maybe out of the 8 or 10, maybe like 3 of them are, and the rest are just like, just living their life. They just know nonsense. They live good lives and shit like that, and they're not having it. You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna let nobody come and take away from their plate, especially if they don't know you. So I'm grateful for that because even though when we're together, I share information with them and they be like, here comes conspiracy, and still, one thing we all have in common that we converse about is that if something ever goes left, that we watch each other and there's sure that we good, worst case scenario, so that's a benefit that I have because you gotta know your neighbor, and I'm pretty sure there's the neighbor on my right and the neighbor, I don't have no neighbor to my left, and my neighbor across from me, the complex, they're mad cool, and I'm pretty sure I could get them on board, because we speak all the time, we bug out, in our pool in the summer and shit like that, and they cool, so I'm pretty sure they'll be on board. So I didn't even count them, as part of the group. So, whenever this happens, I don't look forward to it. Listen, people get it wrong when I speak here. It would be nice if there was this savior, which I know there's not. It would be nice if there was a savior. It would be nice if there was a mothership that came from another planet that was an amazing civil savior. They were gonna that proves that there's a second coming to a false individual. There's no data on that for me, and then there's no data on this God that people are praising that has been a jealous God that's been allowing and being a great participant of all the ignorance that's been happening here that people are praying to in all these Bibles, and I don't have time for none of that. I know there's a source of creation. I know there's a source which I call night sound geometry, and I know I am an aspect of that source, and that's it. And I'm just gonna keep it moving. I'm fine with that. It works for me. My life is good. I don't live above my means, and I do very well for myself. I'm not running around here taking advantage of people and doing the most. I don't do that because it takes away from the energy that I created in order so my paradigm could connect me to the things that I need. So I know the trick. I kind of learned the trick. I'm working on mastering the trick. So I just don't got time for that shit. I don't.
So you're agnostic. You believe in
far as being Gnostic, Gnostic just means knowledge. It just means knowing a better truth than that's what's out there, and that's just to me just another title. It doesn't mean that that's the absolute truth. I've researched the Gnostics. I know what they're talking about, and it does make a lot of sense. A lot of things that they say, because they say, yeah, you got the power, or like I don't know what people are talking about, and all that. I provide with that because everything has some truth. And there's a greater information that supersedes that. What that is, I don't know. I'm pretty sure there is.
Well,
I just know. Go ahead.
and agnostic are two different.
Oh, okay. So what is agnostic?
Gnostic means you are the creator, and agnostic means you acknowledge that there's a higher creator.
Oh. So if I have to think about that, agnostic, I get it. Yeah. Well, listen, I don't know if just because I will say that there is a higher creator that I would be agnostic. I would just be acknowledging that it would make sense to me because my mother created me. She was intimate with my father, and here I am. And things were created before me, so there is a powerful creation is powerful and is creating things. So there is a power, some type of thought that we fragment from that allows us to experience, or I don't know if allow us is the word, to say. I'm going to use that loosely. So there is something, and I wouldn't categorize myself as being agnostic because I can acknowledge that. It's just me being intelligent enough to acknowledge something that makes sense. I don't have to follow anything else of them. The Bible says, love thy neighbor, appreciate, just be great. And I respect that the Bible said that. Doesn't mean I'm a Bible thumper, so because I know that I look forward to being a great person and being good to people. I don't need the Bible to tell me that.
Need a book to tell you what's right or wrong. And I don't even like titles, because to me titles are part of the system. So if somebody asks me what I am, I'm not going to give them a title, because that's falling prey to more programming. It's like I'm a wildlife biologist, and the way I look at creation and the creator is, when like a mommy girl cat has her kittens, she teaches them everything they need to do to be on their own. I equipped you. You're ready to go. You don't, you can handle things now. And that's how I feel like our creator. He equipped us to deal with whatever we need to deal with. And he didn't make us weak and in need of saving and all that. That's, as far as I'm concerned, that's all programming. That people aren't looking within and figuring out what they need to do. Instead, they're waiting for someone else to help them, save your programming. So that's the way I look at it. I look at nature, and I figure that's probably how our creation, took place.
So on another note, I saw a video the other day of, I don't know if it was two girls or something like that, two girls and a guy, and they were talking. They were with this, I don't know where they was at, and they were with these two pilots. And one of the pilots, they were just stating how he's been a pilot for like 40 years and some shit like that. And they asked the pilot, they tell him, they were like, how long you been flying? He was like 40 years. And then they tell him like, so, a question to you. The world is round or flat? He said, absolutely flat. He said, they don't want us to say it. It's absolutely flat. And this is not like a sovereign tooth type of thing. So, yeah, I just been seeing it. I mean, I personally spoke to a pilot, my goddamn self, a few pilots that have told me the same thing. A couple of them don't say anything, but they laugh. And once again, though, the funny thing just on to that because we're talking about things that's going on. Because one of the reasons why I tell people that we are experiencing what we're experiencing is because we are in a controlled environment. We are in a controlled environment that allows this stupid shit to happen. Because when you don't want people to know that there's, we already know that to some degree you can't even go to certain parts of what people think. If we're on the globe, there's certain parts of the globe you can't go to. You know what I'm saying? You just can't run up into any country without documentation. So we already know that. You know what I'm saying? You need certain identification to go certain places. No, but not even Antarctica. I'm not even talking about Antarctica. There's just, we know that there's islands that exist that you cannot even go to. That you don't even know that exist on a globe scale if we were on a globe. So these are just facts. So I tell people like, what makes you think, that there's not extra lands where, if you want to control people, and this is why I tell people there's a greater force that people are not compartmentalizing here that they don't want people to know. Like even these elitists that we talk about, these bloodlines, they are control themselves. They got a lot of leeway, because they're able to run around on this realm, and have a lot of whatever they think a lot is, because they own a lot of land, they got a lot of houses, and they're able to do a lot of different shit, and they still fear and are in control of a superior civilization that has handed them the keys and say, hey, listen, this is just what it is. If you don't do this, then we just take you out and we'll put somebody that gets it, and shit like that. So this, I know that there's a lot of data on this. There's data to this, and I'm telling you, it's very wild what's happening out here. Like it's very layered. So what's happening here that people have no clue. And that's why I say, yo, just live your life, man, because people are really arguing about nothing. It's really bad what they're doing here in order to siphon the energy. And how amazing it would be, though, if you can actually go past the ice wall and they got rid of the ice wall and you could see all the greenery from the original ancient maps that existed, and be able to go to other realms and experience, other civilizations that have been here maybe a million more years than what human beings will consider to be human beings been here, that have technology that's way more advanced, that's actually technology that is actually plays a role in helping that civilization live a long time and to do, great things, not suppress like we are in order to, in reverse, to attack us, to dictate, our well-being type shit, so that I always have looked forward to that for a long time. It just seems like it's not happening. What, when I'm talking?
No, it was while you were talking. You mid-sentence, and all of a sudden there was a.
It sounds like what, humming?
Yeah. This is not secure line anymore.
No, it might be my car. It might be my car because I got an electric car for the hell of it to drive around in proximity.
I like you speak. You're speaking good words. I got to get out of here.
Alrighty, Rusty.
Yeah, Rusty, later.
Love you, see you, bye.
Bye, Rusty. I mean, it's just a matter of time when everything just comes into play, I think. Especially that, I think when you started talking about the back then, when you would talk about the what do you call it, the Blue Moon Project, I think it's kind of like, what I think it is, Sister Dave? I think it's kind of like, like the mosquito trap, where they would use, when you talked about the voice of skull, it's kind of the same thing, the hologram, right? To get them convinced to come outside, and then put thoughts in their head, and this is where they would get them, wouldn't it?
Yeah, the voice of skull thing is on another level now. That shit right there is probably like on the supreme level now. Like that shit is definitely getting people to do a bunch of wild things. It's just sad because the generation that you see coming up, like even for me, I watch it in real time, in my club. I can see it. When I throw a party, let's say, and there's a thousand people there, and when it comes to like, especially, in my venue, I do a lot of African American parties, whether it's Africans, Haitians, or just regular black folks, and they the age group for most of the time of these parties, for those that have big followings, the age group is like 21 to 26, let's just say, and you can see it, how they acting, how they partying, and how they fighting and arguing, and you can see it, and you tell yourself like, wow, this is the next generation, that gonna become, the 30 and 40 years old, and if they stay on the type of time that they are, with all the gang stuff, and shout out to Hocus for doing that challenge that he's doing, because it's really, got a lot of people talking, and having a conversation about, what to do, and how people need to change when it comes to that. Like they're not getting it yet, like to protect each other. Let's stop wilding out. Like there's such a bigger enemy that they're not knowing, and everybody's just feeling. And I said that's something I used to, even when I did the Latin parties, it was almost the same thing. It was no different. So that generation, I see the generation, I see that in the black folks in the Spanish party, I see the generation of 25 to 35, and they're on that same type of time, like always arguing and fighting, and just being like super weird. And I'm like,